Out of recess, and we are now in open meeting. If y'all would like to stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alderman Miller, would you give the invocation?
Look, for Heavenly Father, Lord, we come, we are thankful, Lord, for this day. We ask Heavenly Father to continue, Lord, to bless our military, wherever they might be. Then, Lord, we thank you for allowing us to come together as we look at the welfare of this city. We pray, Lord, the decision that we make on tonight will be pleasing in thy sight. We thank you right now. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. General fund budget, which is the thickest set of papers you got, and I think we'll just run through it in the order as it's printed. So we'll start with the revenues.
Before we start on this, I would like to make a matter of record that $250,000 that we received, that we make sure that we set it aside and earmark until we get clarification that we earmark it for Oak Grove and Highway 51, that it don't go into road improvement and overlay because we're getting mixed answer on what that money to be used for.
That's that $250,000 the legislature got for us. And it is not included in any of the stuff we're talking about tonight, so I was not allocating it anywhere.
I just want to be insured because, I'd rather have it earmarked than it. Now, do I need to make any formal motion or what?
We'll just make sure it's part of the minutes. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, if y'all want to look at the first 6 lines, there are property taxes. If you look at the difference between all of those, it's about around $250,000 more than we had last year. I think we talked about that before. The Grand Gulf money, which is line 206 there, that is money that we get annually, and that's what they told us it's going to be again this year, is about $130,000. The next line item is the municipal court fund. There's a very small amount that comes into there. The penalty damages and interest, those are monies that we receive. Most of that's on property taxes, people paying late, things of that nature. Shop with a cop, that fluctuates. It'll probably be about $7,000, but if not, we'll adjust it as it comes in. Those are donations that come in. Privilege licenses are tracking to be about level at $23,000. Those are set by state statute. They're only about $15, $20 a piece. The franchise taxes are trending towards $490,000. Building permits, you're going to see, I think we're going to see quite a drop in building permit fees. And the reason for that is we had a big chunk of money come in for AWG. And of course, we've already gotten those fees. So we probably won't have any building of that nature come in the next year. So we're having to be realistic and say we'll probably just get about $180,000 in building permits. The electrical permits, $30,000, plumbing, $21,000, mechanical, $15,000. And Kristen and I kind of looked at these numbers together. The building inspection fees, $2,000, sign permits, $1,000, site plan review fees, $15,000, miscellaneous plan review fees, $12,000, grading revenue, $24,000. The MCOPS grant, we should get $40,000 in revenue on that. We are not getting a camera grant. There was one that was allocated that we didn't get last year. Trauma care, it'll be about $11,000 this year. So sales taxes, I think some of us had talked about it. We are probably going to end the year at $4,850,000 in sales tax revenues in this current year. I feel like it's safest for us to just allocate those as flat or forecast them as flat, not knowing what's going to happen in the coming year. I know we've been trending upwards every year, but things are just so uncertain. I would rather budget the revenues on the low side instead of being excessive. So $4,850,000 is what I put in there, which is still $1,150,000 more than we forecast for this current year we're in. The liquor licenses are trending at $22,000. State fire protection numbers about $93,000. Ambulance, 8,500 from the state aid. The DUI grant, about 116,000. State aid, the other miscellaneous state aid, 7,000. Grant, 3,500. The DeSoto County ad valorem will be 255. Municipal aid, 14,000. As most of you know, the school board pays us $150,000 a year for officers to be in the schools. That will happen again. Tax anticipation revenue, we're not thinking we'll have to borrow money to float us through till property taxes come in. If something were to happen and we had to, we could always amend the budget and borrow the money. But there was $1.2 million in there for it last year and it wasn't used. So last year we were able to go through without tax anticipation loans. Railroad tax is $75.50. We get a minimal amount of money through animal control for fines on animals or people adopting animals. We put that at $2,000. The annual service revenue is trending towards $550. Police fines, $500. Court admin, $28,000. Court cost revenue, $115,000. Special county court assessments, $15,000. The online fee revenue is a small amount, about $1,000. The best guess we have is our interest will be about $19,000 this year in that fund. The rents will be about $60,000. The cell tower rent, they're going down a whole lot this year. We rent space on our water tanks, and C Spire is pulling out. And I actually ran across the C Spire guy down at the conference, and he said, even though their fiber is going great, they're not just don't have a lot of customers for their cell service, so they're pulling off of our towers. So that's a big chunk of revenue lost.
Did this rent here include the leases that we have with drug court?
Yes, it does.
Did they move?
And they are moving out
So
right
how
now.
can we,
That one's probably going to need to be lower. You're correct.
That need to be lowered. I can't see us having, I think we need to look at that again.
I will look at that.
What else is in that rent number?
The drug court was in it. We have the Literacy Council and the Election Commission. They rent from us in there. I'll check on that number and we'll get it fixed before next Tuesday. I'm going to write that on the list. All right. The next number down there is loan proceeds. Those loan proceeds are, and this is, I'm going to talk, there's two different things in there. One of them is money for animal shelter, partial, and one of them is for police cars. So $295,000 of that is a loan for police cars. And those will be talked about as we go through the budget. The rest of it, $665,000, is a loan towards the animal shelter. I'm also allocating out of the bond fund, the 300 fund, money that had been set aside out of that $5 million bond years ago. There's about $235,000 left there. So that 235 plus the 665 would be 900, which is about what the bids came in last time, I think. So that's where I'm starting right now. So those are the two loans, the 665 and 295. Next down there, the transfer from surplus. We've looked at how much cash is in the bank, what we expect to come in, and what we expect to go out in the next 30 days or so. And that number on October 1st, as we start the new year, should be $2,050,000 approximately. We'll sell some old vehicles for $25,000 hopefully. So that gives us a total revenue number of $16,616,000. And then we go right on into the admin. So these admin numbers on your pay sheets, I think we had talked about before, that's going to be all the numbers I'm putting in payroll, unless we say otherwise, are a 3% increase. So this one includes the 3% increase. And part of the city clerk's salary is in there at the rate, the $70,000 rate that we're moving her to in the new fiscal year. So that's the admin. General admin supplies, you can just look down through there. That whole category just goes up by $500. The general admin, other services and charges, you've got the audit there, legal expenses, which is always a guesstimate. The website at $2,000, Professional services at 25,000. We don't know what might come out of there this year. Postage, 7,500. The tax collector fees, 163,000. So just a little background on that. The cities can collect their own taxes and assess them. So instead of that, we've always paid what the other cities, the county tax assessor and collector, which that's quite a bargain. We couldn't do it for anywhere near that fee ourselves.
So on the professional services there, why are we budgeting such a reduction there?
That was a lot of annexation work in there. That was the bulk of that, was the annexation work and the redistricting. And neither one of those are going to happen. We might do some redistricting, start redistricting this year, and we'll see where we go, but that would give us a start on it at least. Then you've got the travel items, the mayor and admin department travel, 16,000, board member travel, 12,000, publication expense, 3,000, printing and binding, 2,500, outside repairs to city hall, 5,000. This is an old building and just things are going wrong with it just about daily. We had some new windows put in the front of city hall today. Computer maintenance contract, 5,000. Outside repairs to vehicles, 1,000. 8,000 on outside repairs to equipment, which that would be if the AC units go down. Let's see, 6,000 for rentals. National Guard supplement, 1,200. 6,000 in contributions miscellaneous. 20,000 for the Main Street Chamber of Commerce, and I think she is going to come present to the board, but 20,000 is what we've been giving to the chamber each year, and they're asking for the same amount this coming year. Education seminars for admin and mayor department, 5,000. The same amount for board dues and subscriptions, 22,000. Let me look that one up and tell you, 4684.
While you're looking at that, Mayor, why did we take the $6,000 out for promotion?
That was a number that the city clerk had put together, and then I reminded her that we had that money in the tourism account. And we didn't, I don't think we spent anything out of promotions this year. Let me look at it and see. What were you thinking about that money being used for?
Same thing, but I'm just saying it might have been in two different,
Let's see, promotions.
one come off tourism itself, and the other come out the general fund, so that's the difference right there.
Let's see what we spent
The
out of
$6,000 was coming out the general fund, and the other was coming out of tourism, made us have more money for promotion, if I'm not mistaken.
So the only thing we spent out of there was $6,000 for the Historic DeSoto Foundation, and I moved that $6,000 to the contributions miscellaneous, right above it. And then we do all the other stuff out of the $19,500 in tourism.
So we still, at the end of the day,
We're still down $6,000 there.
We
yes.
decreased promotions and contributions by $6,000.
Budgeted, yes, but we also have 19.5 in tourism, which we only spent about 10,000 of last year. But we can add that back if that's what y'all like to do.
I just wanted to get clear that, that's all. We can move on.
Let's see. All right, so I was going to look up dues and subscriptions. Okay, the biggest portion of that goes to the DeSoto County Economic Development Council. We give them $12,545. Then there are just lots of different small items listed through there, but that's the bulk of it, was that large one.
And I guess I hear you redundant, but okay, on the dues and prescription, I think that we need to make sure that we are part of the National League of Cities.
I agree.
And I need, make sure that we have adequate money in there for that.
Okay.
Because it's all networking in order to try to bring things back to the city. I know that organization that,
I'll check on what those dues are
MML
and
and
make sure
everybody
we can
else
do it.
is part of that, so that, other cities are part of it, and I think that we as a city need to be part of the National League of City in order to network and bring things back also.
I've definitely been getting their emails, so I don't know if that's true for everybody else,
For the
but
National League of City?
I get plenty of emails from them, so
Well, that,
they're free. I don't know how many I'm gonna get when I
she
start
was
paying
there,
for
she
them.
was there at the MML this year, and if anybody was in the meet, she made a special plea again because so many cities, for whatever reason, had dropped off.
And I think we have dropped off, and we need to renew.
Yeah, so I want to make sure we have adequate money in there. to do that.
Okay, we've got 5,000 down there for machinery and equipment purchases. That's generally for if we need computers and monitors and things of that nature. 2,000 for furniture and fixtures. We're hoping we end up getting a new planning director, so I feel like somewhere in City Hall we'll need that. If y'all don't want any money for furniture and fixtures, we can take that out. And the transfer to parks, when we went over the parks budget, y'all sent me away with a number that was less than we were gonna put in here, so this is approximately the number we would need to do the parks budget minus what y'all had said to swap. So I put 550,000 on transfer to parks.
So what would that make the parks budget?
I don't have it with me right now, it's in the other room, but it's about 100,000 less than we had presented.
Probably about 1.2,
Yeah.
just rough math.
The transfer that was presented was 607,679.
Okay, so that would be 100, that'd be 57,000 less then.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought your notes with you, Natalie. Legal personnel services, that's just our attorney in there with the 3% increase. Janitorial, if you'll look down through there, that's pretty much flat except for a 3% increase for the employee there. Planning and zoning, I think you have a pay sheet there for planning with a 3% increase. One of those positions there, the one for inspector, we had raised that to approximately 58,000, which in my mind was 56,000 plus stipends for getting certifications. We thought we had someone hired who declined on us, but that's why that 58,000 is there. So all that's in this budget to fund a planning director, the building inspector, code enforcement officer, which are all open positions. Kristen's still there, and tomorrow we lose the lady at the front desk. She is going on permanent maternity leave. So as of tomorrow, we'll just have Kristen in that department.
I know we had talked before about maybe increasing the planning director's salary to make that job more attractive. Is that something we need to talk about? Or?
You know, we looked at it the other day, and based on our population and the area, and you look at the one in Oxford, we're in the range. So, you know, maybe if we found somebody that y'all just really loved and they had to have more, we could talk about it, but right now it appears that we're in the range we need to be in when we compare ourselves to other cities like us.
Well, like you said, we could always pull a little bit from a
Yeah.
couple other spots
Right.
that haven't been utilized.
We're obviously gonna have extra money in here because we're not gonna fill all these positions October 1.
Right.
But they're funded for a full 12-month year, so
Right.
there will be money to play with there. Not to play with, that's the wrong term.
We
but
still
to-
have the applicants, do we?
I have 2 applicants for planning director, and Julie is calling one of them. I've already called the other one to make sure they're still interested. Hopefully in the next week and a half, I'll be setting up some interviews.
Good.
All right, let's see, that was the planning personnel. The planning and zoning supplies stayed almost flat, it's up $350. And the outside services and charges, the consulting fees, there was, a lot of those consulting fees were on the comprehensive plan update that was done. So that's why that number came down. That's in the 602 line item, 090602. So I decreased that one, although that, I didn't decrease it as much as you would think because we're still paying BJ out of that one. So I figure at some point this year we'll quit paying BJ and just be paying the planning director. And I do think there'll be some overlap. When we get a new planning director, we'll need BJ to stay and do a turnover and probably consult from time to time. So that was the change in that one. The capital outlay, I've just got 2,000 there for machinery and equipment and 2,000 for fixtures, for a total of 4,000 in that department. So planning and zoning is down 28,000 over last year. And general admin and zoning zoning together are up 28,000. And next is the police department. So y'all have got a sheet, go ahead.
Before we go to
Yes.
police, sorry, I just have a couple quick questions. I know I was 30 minutes late and I missed
Yeah, what did you miss?
the pledge and the prayer, so I apologize. This is just my opinion. I don't feel like we need a pay raise as aldermen. I mean, we knew what the pay was when we ran for the office. I know that's not a huge line item increase. I know that the rest of y'all may not agree with me, but I mean, to me, it's just not a priority. And I feel like we got to kind of lead in that direction if we're gonna look at salary increases. I think, you know, there are people that need those dollars a lot more than myself. I mean, I'm just speaking from my standpoint. I understand fairness and like all that kind of stuff as well, and giving everybody pay raises or whatever we're gonna look at. But to me, I think that's one thing that we can strike and just keep the same, unless there's just a lot of. Obviously I'm putting y'all on the spot. I mean, this is what it is. So.
I agree with Alderman Piper. It's not much, but I don't think, I mean, I think we can take it off.
I'm good with that.
Any other opinions on that, or? All right. Are y'all ready to move on to police? If so, there's one in here that is not in color that says police chief's proposal to include 5 new patrolmen. I think it just says 5 new at the top of your page. So these are some various raises within here. You'll see current and proposed. So we'll start right there with personnel. Chief, would you like to?
Yeah, thank y'all. We put just a little presentation together. I hope that I'm getting picked up here, because I've spoke to several of you guys, and I know all you guys like numbers and like me to be able to show you what we're asking for. So if you would just indulge me, it's just about a 20 slides here. Just want to go through and just give you some of our data, because most of our budget does deal with personnel and adjustments, trying to do some adjustments to some of the personnel to bring us up comparable. Now, what I've proposed is comparable to what there is now, and I've talked to every agency, specifically in DeSoto County, and all of those numbers are going to change. Some of them potentially in Olive Branch are going to change actually drastically from what it is now. But what I'm proposing just brings us up to where we currently are. And I'll just go through this. In the past decade, the Hernando Police Department has not been funded properly to keep up with the growth of the city. We've not added additional city-funded police officers in the last 4 years. In 2009, the city funded 34 police officers. In 2021, the city funds 38. So in a 12-year period, we've added 4 police officers. Our calls for service in 2009, when we had 34 cops, was 7,702. Our calls for service in calendar year 2020 were 19,845, which obviously has over doubled. We took over jurisdiction of I-55 in 2012, and we didn't add any additional officers for that, and I'll show you the issues that causes us. We're operating at a very low level of officers to population ratio, currently at 2.2 per thousand. with FBI statistical data and for the southern region of 2.9 per thousand. Not only that, I'll show you data across the state of Mississippi in various locations. And just to be quite honest, our police officers are being put in heightened danger operating at this level, simply put. So how does Hernando Police compare? Because we've got to look into DeSoto County. I mean, this is who we're competing against. Over the next 5 years, South Haven PD is adding 60 officers. Olive Branch is in the process of adding about 25. Horn Lake's trying to develop an aggressive plan to add. They're extremely behind also. But our officers and civilian staff are collectively paid less than any other agency around in DeSoto County. We do not offer any pay stipends. All other agencies do. We do not offer longevity pay. South Haven Police Department and Horn Lake Police Department do. We do not offer college tuition reimbursement. All other agencies do. So if you want to get your education and further your education, you can go anywhere in this county but Hernando and get that paid for. We don't offer anything. And I know this may seem minimal to some of you, but if you're computer folks, you will understand how important this is. But the city does not have an IT department at all. For us, with our record management system and everything that we do and dispatch with CAD and everything, that causes a significant issue for us. And of course, we don't have any money for that in the budget, but I just want you to know citywide, I think you guys should really be looking towards the future of potentially hiring, somebody to do, exactly what this gentleman's doing for us and then some. So when we talk about that 2.9, and this is a departmental structure survey, so I just went across the state of Mississippi, and these are updated numbers within a week, and talked to the various chiefs. And what I want you guys and gals to remember is that when we look through this, and this is kind of northeast, we'll stop around Jackson and we'll go to the coast. One thing that nobody else up here has is Memphis, Tennessee. And I just want you to think about that. So Corinth Police, pretty similar to us. They're at 2.9 per thousand. We're at 2.2. Ridgeland Police in right outside of Jackson is at 2.9, and we're at 2.2. Oxford, 3.4 per thousand. Madison, 3.2. Gaucher is at 3. Brookhaven is at 3. Batesville is at 6.2. Flowood, Mississippi is at 5.1. And Horn Lake is struggling about the worst in the state, close to us, in our ratio of 2.2 also. They're trying to get there, but they're just not there yet. So where are we at since 2009? In 2009, population 11,850. Of course, if you believe that number, we'll just go with what the census says, but we all know that that's higher. I spoke to every other chief in this county. They have the same concern. Their numbers come in. Now, what I used to do when we had a planning director is they actually have a formula that they can go off of the rooftops, and they can give you a more true picture. But we're just going to go on the safe end and go with what the people who actually filled out the census at 17,138. In 2009, 12 years ago, we paid for 34 cops. We pay for 38 now. Civilian staff is at 10. That includes our communication staff. We've not grown by one person in 12 years. Our officer ratio in 2009 was right where it needed to be at 2.9, and in 2021, we're at 2.2. Calls for service, 7,702. 19,845 in calendar year 2020. Traffic accidents that we worked in 2010, I believe that's, I don't have my glasses on, I think that says 215, is that right, or 235? Thank you. In 2020, 529 with 133 of those being on the interstate. Now, I don't know if you've ever passed us on the interstate, but I don't want to call it a decent, but a minimal wreck, and the fire guys will contest because they're there with us, but a minimal wreck on the interstate takes us 30, 45 minutes to work. A really bad one, like we've had within the last few months, we've had several fatalities. It is literally taking every one that we have. And so we got roughly 30 square miles and close to 20,000 people that's unprotected because we're tied up on the interstate. So this is felony crime data. And, you know, as you grow, these things go up. In 2009, 25 cases, felony cases were worked in 2009. Now, the data from 2009 is not as clear as it is now, but we went off the DA's office. And in 2009, there was not one drug case presented to the district attorney's office for prosecution in 2009. 2016, now this is the criminal investigation side, so this is any felony crime with the exception of drug crimes. So drug crimes are under the special investigation category. 363 cases worked in 2016, 259 in 2017, 370 in 2018, 306 and 449 in 2020. And I talked to the commander over investigations as well as the frontline supervisor, and they are anticipating coming in somewhere right around 2020 because those numbers were pulled at the first part of August. So our SID cases, in 2016, we did 43, 2017, 56, and in 2018, we formed actual special investigations which broke off from the criminal side, so there's two different ones. So we were just getting those guys going, getting them trained up, and they did 79 cases. In 2019, 110. And you can see that the upward tick, 2011, but one of the things that I also want to remind everybody about 2020 is we put them on a reactionary status for about 4 months because of COVID. So they were not doing any pro-drug or proactive drug enforcement for about 4 to 5 months, and they still worked 211 cases. And to date, at the beginning of August, we're at 140 on those cases. So as you can see, the caseload. Now, you know, I am pleased to report that, you know, our violent crime is down. These are most of these are, you know, paper crimes. A lot of various. Captain Hodge could get into more of the specifics on what those cases are. But look, as your population grows, our geographical location, I mean, you know that it's going to happen.
Chief, I had a quick
Yes.
question. On the 2021 numbers,
Yes, sir.
is that calendar to date, or is
Yes,
that
that's
fiscal?
calendar
That's
to
not fiscal
date.
year?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So if we look at this and we project out 5 years, we need 20 cops within 5 years. If we believe that in 5 years, if we're not already close, again, I'm giving you a conservative number.
Where's that number come from? That
Where's-
20 cops or whatever you say you need. Where's that, where do you get that number from? You taking the 2.9 times?
Yeah, so if you do the, yes, sir, if you do the 2.9 times 20,000, then I believe that's 58 and we're at 38. So that's how we get that. And that's how everybody gets that number. So if we're just projecting out, because I want y'all to know that this is where we need to be. You know, whether or not we'll get there, I don't know, but we sure gotta try. So when you look at the 20 officer figures, that's what it would cost over 5 years, 1.4 million, and that's at the base rate. And that includes everything. But that's current numbers.
That include cars?
No, sir. No, sir. That's just personnel cost.
1.4 million per year.
No, sir. 1.4 million over 5 years. That's a projection to 2026. So I have 5 in there this year, and I'll show you the stair step of the way we just projected it. I think it was 4, 4, 4, and 3, to get us through to 2026. So where do we compare to other DeSoto County agencies? Because that's who we have to compare ourselves to. We're not even talking about Germantown and areas that they could go across the state line. So I'm not going to read through all of that, but I will leave that up there, and we can also provide this to you. But as you will see, in every category, with the exception of one, I think here, our non-certified's at 1901, so that's someone that we just bring in off the street, like the 2 that you just hired. But as you can see, and again, you know, when you take into consider South Haven, you're not projecting stipends, longevity pay, or anything like that. That's just the base rates. And what I'm presenting is just to get us up basically to where we are now. So Horn Lake currently is the highest paid on patrolmen. They're the highest paid in the county. And I talked to Chief Gamage, and I believe they anticipate, even with Horn Lake's raise, to get above them. So as we compare to Olive Branch, DeSoto County, so that's just a chart there. Just some folks are visual for charts. I like charts. That's just showing you since 2009 how our calls for service have increased 260% since 2009, and we do it with 4 more. And
What about year-to-date? Are they down from last year and the year before?
it's trending right about the same. We're trending right about the same. I was anticipating maybe a little bit higher, but
I figure with COVID, maybe it went down.
yeah, it's trending right around the same. And I'm not gonna steal Miss Dana's thunder, but y'all also realize that, you know, we haven't added anything for her. So we're dealing with this in the field, but they're dealing with this in the communication center.
Are you projecting some new employees for her?
Yes, sir. So that's the projection through, so I had projected for 2022, 43, 47, 51, 55, and 58, and that would get us to the 2.9 that we really need to be at. I'd love to see us around 3.1 or 3.2. And I think when you talk to the citizens, I've had many community meetings with HOAs, and one thing that I know at least 2 people have told me in the past is they said that we don't want to look like Germantown, but we want it to be like Germantown, where every time we turn a corner, we see a cop. So this will be a little skewed, but I can send this to you. This is just our org chart, and this is just a conceptual where those 20 folks would go. The ones in red would be the new. The ones in blue are outside source funds. Again, I know that's kind of hard to look at from where you're sitting. And just one of my favorite quotes from Mr. Henry Ford. So I can, Mayor, do you want me to just go down this list and?
Yeah, and then, you know, as he hits different line items, y'all jump in and ask questions and for clarification and voice opinions.
So the top category, this adds 5 new positions. Patrolman, this also adds pay adjustments. We went in this year and we actually adjusted. We did it about 4 years ago, but we're as you saw, we're off there. And also a couple of the folks in there, if you look at individual officers, maybe that we recently hired, there's going to look like a larger gap, but what we're doing, and I know I've talked to, I think most of all of y'all, is we have got to start hiring our cops based off of experience. Everybody else in the county brings you in based off of your time of service, things of that nature. I can't, we might have folks that want to come to work for us that's been at, say, South Haven for 10 years, but if we've got to bring them in at the bottom of the barrel, so to speak, so if you see a significant maybe change to somebody, that's because that person has at least 5 years of certified law enforcement experience. And as we move forward and hire people, we'll bring that to you as a proposal, say at a P3 or a P4 or a P2 or whatever.
Is there a reason why that's been done in the past, other than just financial? There's nothing like in the handbook that requires.
I don't think the handbook requires that in the police department.
I'm just
talked about
asking
that.
this.
So you can bring,
I've read through it a couple times, but I'm not well versed.
yeah,
in
you
it.
can bring people in at a certain rank.
I think that.
Why have y'all done that? Just because?
I've tried. I just hadn't been able to get it passed. But again, everyone. I tried before anybody else was doing it, and I think my buddies heard what I was trying to do, and so they started doing it. But we still don't do it.
Just lateral moves is
Yes,
what you're
ma'am.
trying to do.
Yes, ma'am. Based off of your experience. So Alderman Piper, if you got 10 years as a certified police officer in Memphis, and you want to get out of Memphis, then I need to bring you in at our P4 pay, which is our top patrolman pay. I'm not, so that's why. And we've got it, we've got I think it was 30 months. If you've got 30 months, then we bring you in at a P3. And if you have over 5 years, 60 months, then we would bring you in at a P4 projected.
So the challenge there is if you have people without much experience leaving the department and you're bringing in people that are veterans, then you're gonna
be out of budget.
you're gonna be faced with some financial challenges,
Yeah.
more or less.
Right.
That's the challenge.
Yeah, we'll have to work.
Not that
with
y'all have
any
anybody,
of
I know
our
y'all don't have anybody ever leave. I know y'all very rarely have turnover. I
Well,
know that.
the good thing about that is if you
Yes,
look
sir.
at ours, most all of our people, and if this budget passes, are P4s. So we're already, if say someone retired, we've only lost one cop in 6 years to another law enforcement agency. We've had people retire. I'm gonna have 2 or 3 medically retire this year, but we don't lose our cops.
Right.
So I'll just go down this list here. The supplies, we asked for an increase to 22,000.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
gonna go back to salary. I guess.
Yes, sir.
I'm waiting on somebody else that quick, because I want to seem like I'm trying to be dog nagging. And we sitting on this board, and I know you advocating for the men and women that work for you.
Sure.
And we sitting here on this board, got to not only look at your department, we got to look at each and every department, because each and every department is important to the welfare of this city. From digging a ditch to solving a crime. What type of percentage are we talking about as related to these rates? I know we've been talking numbers, so let's deal with some percentage, because right now our budget that the mayor presented to us, number-wise, is based upon a 3% raise. With what you're proposing, give me some number breakdown and percentage-wise as you go through those salaries. I mean, we just hit the salaries and it was a big, the number increased by, $508, well, $500,000. So what type of percentage is that? I mean, I know.
Overall?
Some gonna be high and some are low. We need to, at least I do, I don't know about nobody else. I need to hear what a percentage is gonna be.
For
that we
existing-
talking about?
You're talking about for existing salaries?
17% overall. But that
For-
508
for-
includes
for-
5
No, for
officers,
what the
right?
proposed increase that he had tonight,
Yes.
what type of percentage are we talking about?
That includes the new officers, Alderman Harris.
You know, just for,
It was,
I know
the,
you, I ain't get the specific, you can give me a,
I got about 10% for current employees, is what it looked like to me.
yeah, it was all different. Each one was different. I tried to
yeah, I
plug
know that's what
in.
I'm
Yes,
saying,
sir.
But give me a range, you can say, some is in the 7%, some is in the 10%. Some in the 17%. Give me a, I guess I'm the only one want something like that anyway, so. If anybody already know, y'all tell me, and I want to ask that
Find
question.
out real quick. Yeah, this is 17% here.
250 is the new positions. So,
So the P4s, the 2350 to $25 is 6.3%, 6.4%.
So we talking about that, excess is 6%.
Yeah, I can, oh, here it is.
I'm not holding you nothing specific, I'm just when I say a ball.
Each one was different, Alderman Miller,
Right,
because
that's
like
when I
our,
said a range,
Yes.
that's when I said a range, if you said, if you tell me the range is from 6 to 12 or 6 to 13, I'm satisfied with that.
Because like if you look at our lieutenants, we put a lot of focus on our lieutenants the last few years, and I had them in for a 46-cent raise. So whereas one person might be getting $1.20, they were getting 46 cents. So I don't. I'd be happy to break that down by percentage, or I could stand up here and calculate it. I'd be happy to do it.
That's fine. We can move on then. But I thought if you had that number.
No, sir, and I apologize. I know you like percentage, so I should have got that for you. I understand.
The P1s are a 15.78% increase. That $3 increase on them.
Right now we're talking about.
Hold on, what'd you say?
I don't see any P1s.
There's
You go
not
from
a,
The 1901 to $22.
no, sir, I got $20, 1901 to 20, so that's,
It says 22 on a P1.
Yeah, I was looking down at John Turner down near
Turner?
the bottom of the first page.
I'm sorry, that's a P2. That's a certified officer. P1's non-certified.
Saying it looks like we don't have any P1s.
We, in our budget, we plug them in as P2s because they'll be certified, by the time this budget's up.
So Turner's a P2.
So he will be a P2.
Yes,
in
ma'am,
this
he will
budget.
be.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And we budgeted the 5 new ones at a P2 rate. Now, I would love to get 5 new officers and give them an opportunity to go to the academy, but, when we're competing against everyone else and the volume of people that everybody else is trying to add, it's just really hard.
You can move on to.
Yes, sir.
I got what I'm looking for.
Yes, sir. So supplies, we're at 15,000, and I brought, and I'd be happy to give this to you guys as well if you requested, but I wanted to kind of show you where we haven't increased. So we asked to go to 22,000, and the bulk of that supplies with the increase is ammunition. Ammunition to train our officers on the range is just absolutely through the roof, and it's almost impossible to get. So, but even if you look at that increase in 2017, our budget for that was the same exact budget it is in 2021. Office supplies, we just asked to increase 1,000 because office supplies are going up. Janitorial supplies, we kept flat. Motor vehicle gas and oil, we asked for an increase of 20,000 just because we have seen that increase the last couple of years, but we have not increased that line item. Uniforms, protective clothing, an increase of 30,000. The bulk of that is because we got to outfit these new officers. So it takes us about $1,500 a piece just to initial outfit these officers. And that, of course, that buys the vest and everything. The SWAT team supplies, we kept the same. The Law Fit Challenge, I don't know that they'll have it, but our folks represent our city really well nationally. So we always try to plug in $1,000 to give them opportunity to compete on that in a national level. National Night Out, we put $500 in there for supplies. Our first year doing a National Night Out, we won the award for Rookie of the Year for the entire country that does that. And we've won honorable mention for a couple other times. So that's a really good event that we do with our community. The MCOPS grant equipment, $40,000, that's what we get from them. We projected that in the revenues. Miscellaneous, we had asked for an increase of $1,000. Repair, maintenance, building, an increase to $2,000. Motor vehicle repair and maintenance, we asked for a $5,000 increase. And when I look at that, that item actually went down from previous years twice. And the cost, as you know, the cost for the materials to work on these cars are going up. So that comes in at $294,000, up from $254,000 for FY21. Would you guys like me to go to the next category? We start at 603 for professional services. We've asked for an increase of $5,000 to $30,000, and the bulk of that is crime lab fees. We can't win these cases unless we have our evidence. And as you see, there's a lot that's got to go down there. The website is what the city does. I just plugged in the same number that they had. Our communication, we've asked for a $10,000 increase. The communication, that runs those, our detectives. We have one phone for the supervisors that they hand off, but the bulk of that is our wireless devices that run our computers in our car. So we have to pay those monthly fees on that. Miscellaneous services and charges, we left the same at $5,000. Pest control, we left the same. Travel, we left the same. Legal services, we added $15,000 this year for pending litigation. Printing and binding, we left the same. Insurance, we actually went down $15,000. I talked to the city hall, and we haven't been spending near $25,000. So she went back and looked at the last 3 years, and we haven't spent over $10,000. So that's why that's reduced. That's my part of the insurance on the Gale Center and where our SID office is located. Yes, sir. Utilities, our utilities haven't increased since I've been here, and we always get really close to going over that. As you know, with old equipment, it gets older. It starts going up. So we've seen a tick in that. And outside repairs to the building, we left it the same at $10,000. But understanding that our building was built in the '60s, and there's a lot of stuff that breaks. Software maintenance is our RMS program. That's a program countywide. That's our portion of it. We left that the same. We anticipate that to be. Outside repair vehicles, we've asked for an increase of that for the last several years. We can't work on our cars. We can't fix them for that. And that's the number that we've been coming in pretty much every year. And again, that number hasn't increased. Chief, is it increased at all? I don't. This year specific, we would actually been pretty good, but we had the snowstorm, and we had 2 of our cars hit. That wasn't we were just directing traffic. One time that did not have insurance. We had a citizen T-bone one of our cars. It was absolutely not our fault. Our officer was just driving down the street, caused about $8,000 worth of damage, and their insurance company is wanting to fight with the city because they know we're not going to, we got to fix our car. And then I know it was evidently a pretty exciting time at Walmart, but when we had the one car park on top of our car and the lady that was trying to get away, we had to fix that car. So that's one of the reasons that number. But those are events that we just can't help. We can't help those.
We're at $65,338 right now in that current budget.
And that,
Did we do something, a budget amendment in that account?
yes, sir, we did. Yes, sir. We had the money that, so we saved money, I think $25,000 on the body cams. And then we had the money that we had a pretty good chunk for payments for the animal shelter. So we were able to move that around. We're going to be okay, but we had to move that around. The outside repair equipment, we asked for an increase to $8,000. That's pretty much what that's been running around. The rentals is our copying machines, things of that nature. Those numbers are they've been going up. But the budget hasn't went up. If you look back the last couple of years, it's been coming in around $7,500, but we just haven't increased it. We've tried to increase it, but they hadn't allowed us to. Education and seminars, we kept that the same at $15,000. Prisoner housing expenses, we asked for an increase of 10,000. That's pretty much where that's been running between 120 and 130. And then the additional expenses for the prisoners, their medicines, things of that nature, we asked for a little bit of an increase there for 4,000. So that proposed budget comes in at 381.7, and our 2021 budget, FY21, was 322,519.
You go ahead and talk about your capital outlay at Sally Port.
Yes, sir. So I've spoke to most everyone here. As you know, we don't have a Sally Port at our police station, which is it is a huge liability for the city. I have expressed to most all of y'all the worst case scenario where we pull up in the parking lot essentially, especially when the kids are out here playing and we have a prisoner gets loose that knocks our officer out, gets in the patrol car, runs across the street and takes a child hostage. We don't have like every modern day police department has a Sally Port. I can't think of one agency anywhere around here that doesn't have it. Now, the fortunate thing for us is that we are housed in the Gale Center, so the structure's there. And we do have a section of warehouse where I called in a favor from a commercial contractor. We went in and we sketched everything. We looked at all the mechanical, everything that we would need to make that work. And it came in, the projection, the proposal that I have is $314,000. But obviously we'll have to, maybe we could get Mr. Thornton to help us out a little bit. We'll obviously have to have construction plans. So I didn't know what that was going to cost. And then of course there was no overages built in there. So I put that number in there. That would add a double bay and a single bay for the Sally Port. It would add a 3-terminal booking station. It would add 2 singular cells. So if we had someone that is fighting or whatever, we can just open the door and put them in there. We don't have to try to wrestle with them to get them to, get them down on the bench, so to speak. And then there was a bathroom in there with, industry standard stainless, all the stuff, flushings on the outside, all that good stuff. And then a new DUI booking little section, and then the rest of it would be benches to do that. So I'll stop there if anybody's got any questions about that specific setup there.
So this would be something used daily, weekly?
Daily. Yes, when we have safety checkpoints, we've had at times where we've had 8 to 10 people in our booking room, and we got 2 spots.
Steve,
Yes, sir.
would you explain what a Sally Port is? Some people don't use certain terminology.
Yes, I apologize. So the Sally Port is basically the garage on your house where you pull in your car. So if I arrest you, Alderman Robinson, and I got you in my patrol car, I need to pull in safely to the building, and I need to shut the door. So that if you're not breaking that containment, if you will, you would literally have to break out a metal door. So I would at least have you contained inside. Now we pull up in a parking lot, and we have to get them out in the parking lot and carry them inside, which is very, very unsafe.
I meant to ask earlier, do y'all generate any revenue from forfeitures at all?
Yes, sir.
How much is that? I didn't see that in the revenue account.
It's on the I think the other.
There is a whole nother account called forfeiture, another fund,
Okay, I got you.
and we haven't gone over that one yet. I'll bring it
And
to
the
you.
reason why I ask is it's not something maybe you could pay for with that.
Yes, we don't have.
Well, I mean,
near
I know
the-
you got a guy going in the
Yeah,
task force or
we
whatever,
would love, yes, sir, absolutely. I would love eventually if we could, there's some agencies that, they never have to ask the city for capital improvement because they can, but, on the local level, I mean, right now, we do everything that we can, and I can show you what we've tried to buy over the
Well, I mean, I know
past
you're a
few
little
years.
smaller, so I mean, you're not generating a whole lot, but I mean.
I think right now, we're
Do y'all buy cars and stuff out of there, or?
26,000 is all we got in it right now. And I try to keep at least 20,000, so something, and we're restricted, we're restricted on those
Well, I know
funds.
they
to what
changed
we
all
can-
that stuff, but like, it's not like it used to be.
Yep.
is this like a, there are certain like regulations to how you have to build this?
Mhm.
Like it's required to be a metal door or anything like that, or could it be something that's less,
Well, we went, when we
just trying to
met with
understand
when we met with the contracting company,
Mhm.
I mean, we even looked at the most economical way to put up barriers, say if the officer, say he forgot to put his car in park. And then, because if he went through the wall, essentially, he'd be sitting in the Gale Center. So we looked at all of that. The doors, I believe, are 14-foot doors. That way we can accommodate our transport bus to bring those in. So everything was, and I'm not a commercial contractor by any stretch of imagination, but these guys that I had come in, they had actually been involved in a couple of projects, expansions on bookings, booking rooms and stuff. So I was just, given our recommendations on what we would hope to see. But if you feel free to stop by, I can show you our booking room. It's really, really small.
I think we posed this question to other people. Would you rather have a Sally Port or 5 officers?
5 officers. Yeah. Now, we did, and I may have missed it, but we did do, I projected this in, and I'll get down to that, but I projected that in a loan, and I projected that at, I think I did 2.7, 2.8, which I think that's probably high on a 5-year term, to do that project.
But in this budget, it's not, I didn't put it in there as a loan, I put it in there just paying it out of the general fund. So it could be turned into a loan to help us out a little.
Capital improvements, we just put 5,000. We've had to spend as much as, 15 to 20,000 when most of all of our IT infrastructure is just simply crumbling. And I know Ms. Dana is going to discuss some of that and the issues that we have with our IT infrastructure. So we just plugged the number in there. Public safety equipment, we asked for an increase of 65,000. I've had a few requests come in from the various divisions since I submitted that number. I have a list of those. I'll be happy to supply those with y'all. The list that I have comes in right at 80,000. So, if we were approved for that, we would have to go back and trim on that a little bit to get the best possible outcome. But the bulk of that, the handheld radios, is $21,000. And that's from the new officers. The pistols, that's the major. We put in for a couple of LiDAR radars because of the interstate. Those are kind of expensive. We don't have that. So,
Are you going to project any additional, revenue from fines and running radar on the interstate?
we thought about that, but it's probably going to be after. We're just so short right now. I just don't want to add to that. But yes, sir, it will.
You think it will increase?
Yeah. Oh, and 8,000 of that is our TASER payment plan, and we're in our last year of that. So that'll be taken care of next year, all of our minus upkeep, and then an additional however many it was for 5 new tasers. So that's the bulk of that.
We are at 463,000 on police fines right now. And we're budgeting for 500 in the coming year.
And one of the projections, I know you all couldn't see it, but there were, in our conceptual plan, there was 2 fugitive officers that were in there that would be assigned to our investigative division. When we talk about our fugitive officers, we don't do anything right now proactively to hunt down folks that are wanted from our courts, which means that's missed revenue. When I was in the special operations group, there was me and another guy. On average, we brought in $150,000 in police fines just off of what we did. So that's money also because we don't have the staff and that, but potentially down the road, South Haven, they average around $300,000 with their two guys. Now that's $300,000 in fines that are coming in based off of a couple folks' work. So.
Chief, looking at this organizational chart that's
Yes, sir.
up, so on the 5 new positions that you're proposing, are those all A through D shift hires, or can you share that with us?
There would initially, and this is just projections on needs,
Right.
but most likely, the bulk of 3 of them would go to patrol and 2 of them would go to investigations.
Okay.
But that's, if we have a year like we had, I mean, we've actually had a really, really tough 2 years. We've had, 2 of our officers had cancer that were out pretty much the entire year. We got, an officer that, had 2 officers had OJIs on the job injuries that have been out, for months, having surgeries. We've got another one that's about to go out again with a neck surgery. He's still not. So that's when we talk about those 34, then that's an additional 3 or 4 or 5 that haven't been there, and everybody else is having to take up the slack. So we've really felt it the last 2 years of just being short-staffed.
How fast you think you could hire 5 people?
We're very fortunate. We usually keep a really good candidate pool. We've got interviews coming up. I believe we've got tomorrow and Friday.
Still any more of my guys, man.
He came to us, man. I didn't do that. We've been pretty successful at hiring folks. So
Well, I know like Macon said they're gonna hire 16 people. I think Olive Branch is gonna hire 30 people.
yeah, Macon told me today 60 over the next 4 years
Yeah, so,
is
I mean,
what they're
I'm
doing.
just saying it's gonna be tight around here.
If we can get our pay comparable, trust me when I tell you, there's folks that want to come to Hernando, but we just got to pay them. We got to.
My question to you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Since you went back to personnel again. And you already done said up front that you're looking to hire certified officers. Are we missing officers just because we standing with certified officers as our first priority? I mean,
No.
that's what your statement earlier.
Yeah, if I said that, and I think
You said it,
we've
but-
made an emphasis on the last 3 that I believe 3. We want people, and I said it earlier, I'd love to send 5 people to the academy. We try. We got really lucky this last time, but I'm going to tell you how a tryout goes for us. We'll advertise, and I'm probably exaggerating the number on the high side. We'll hold it on a Saturday or whatever's convenient. We'll have 9 people show up, 2 people pass the PT, and maybe 1 person passes a written test. I mean, we try, and I would absolutely love to hire 5, if we were approved as 5, to hire non-certified and send them to the academy. I just don't know that, I'll be able to.
Did you say the last 3 we've hired are non-certified?
The 2 that we hired the last board meeting were non-certified, and then we've got 1 in the academy now. I'm not sure where he fell in that chain of hires.
I think so the board understands, when you hire somebody who's not certified, it's about 9-10 months before they really can be by themselves. So
Absolutely.
It's a benefit to hire somebody who is certified.
But at the same time, it's also a benefit to bring in new younger people coming in, because sometimes, in any job, when somebody's been on the job sometime 10, 15, 12 years, they stuck in a certain mode.
No, I agree with you. The problem is, and he may can speak to this, there's nobody out there who wants to work in law enforcement right now.
I'm just saying, so
and
I
he's-
see it both ways. I
Right.
don't want us to close the door on recruiting for.
Trust me, at
That's
the
all.
end of the day, this administration wants the absolute best for this city. If it's non-certified, then great. If it's certified, great. But he's absolutely right. Nationally, I just got back from my FBI conference, and everybody, Madison. I talked to their chief 2 days ago. Madison's trying to fill like 28 spots right now. And they're competing in the Jackson area, Ridgeland. All of those guys, everybody. So the fact that we can stay fully staffed and not lose our police officer is a testament, you know, to what we offer them. But again, you know, that only goes so far. And then, you know, if these other agencies in these other areas, you know, pass these adjustments or whatever, then, you know, if you're looking at coming to Hernando and you're looking at maybe potentially going to Horn Lake for, you know, $4 more an hour, I mean, you know what, it is what it is.
What does it cost to have somebody certified to go through the academy per person?
So roughly, when you're taking care of their salary, you're outfitting them, you're buying them all the gear that they need, and the salary, it's somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 on the safe side. Like you said, you got 6 months, maybe 8 months that you're paying. You know, it could be potentially more than that. Now, you know, they do serve a great purpose in the sense of it's a two-man car. You know, so you got, you know, maybe where you needed to send two officers, you know, you at least got two in the one car. So, you know, they serve a great purpose for us, and, you know, until they get certified. It's not like they're just hanging out, but on the low end, about $20,000 to $25,000. So every time, you know, let's just say South Haven, who in the last 5 years has lost 103 police officers. So when you do that math, Olive Branch has lost 84, Horn Lake's lost 41, I think he told me. So when you do that math and uniforms and training and all of that, it's just, you know, it's astronomical. And then we can only fight this off for so long.
But Chief, it's not $25,000 because we're gonna be paying salary anyway. The cost is the school itself, not the salary. Because the certified officer gonna be making more in salary, so the salary's gonna offset. The difference in it, Alderman Ross, is the school itself.
Right. I was kind of asking the school
Well, the state
itself.
reimburses you for the school.
And I thought you had,
we get-
yeah, I
yeah,
thought
we
you were
get that.
reimbursed on the academy
Yeah, as
expenses.
long as they complete and all that, you get, you know, get that money back.
Right.
So say you have a guy go down there and stay, you know, 6 weeks and get hurt or whatever, fell out, then that's just on you. You know, you don't get that money back. So, undercover operations, that was at 15 for 2 years. We had to reduce it last year just because it looked like the numbers were down. But again, that was because we weren't, those are sourced by funds. So we weren't out doing proactive measures on drug enforcement. So we've asked to increase that back to 15. Capital improvements, vehicles, that's $295. Unfortunately, we were not given any money last year to buy any cars. And every time you go a year and you don't buy cars, but that is going to be, that would be equivalent to 7 cars. So we would be replacing 2, and if we brought on 5 staff, that would purchase the 5 cars for them.
And if y'all will remember, we would be borrowing that money. We'd revenue that in on the front page that we went over in the revenue section. And then down at the bottom, a few lines down, you'll see debt service. That's
And
what we're paying that back, plus some old debt we have.
Yeah, and I'll go over that. Furniture and fixtures, we put 5,000 in there because we don't know, let's just say, you know, you did bless us with a booking room. We don't know how close that money's gonna come, so we still have to put desks and things of that nature. If we don't get the new booking room, we absolutely have to replace the booking desks that are there now. If the door stays open too long and the wind's blowing really hard, it's probably gonna crumble. It's been there since we got there. I mean, it's in bad shape. And the body worn, that's our yearly payment for that is $26,000.
Who wears a body camera?
Did they?
They shipped the 25th.
Oh, you ain't got
Yeah,
it.
we got our batteries. We just don't have the actual camera yet.
Which one, who'd y'all go with?
We went with the Motorola bodyguard. They were a little better than the other, and it provides all the same as Axis or
That
Axon.
provides the storage for all the data and everything.
It does everything, the redaction, it does everything, because we don't have the IT infrastructure to house that. So when we go to the debt services, you'll notice our debt services last year was $336,995, and we dropped that down to $254, and that includes the booking rooms and the cars. And the reason for that is I never run a lease purchase over 2 lease purchases consecutively. So one of those is going to be paid off in May. So that was one of the bigger ones. So we're going to have a significant savings there. So, we're dropping that, close to $100,000. And then the interest on that, again, well, I projected that interest a touch high, say for the booking room, and the cars. And we hope, we hope in the future, and I'm sorry, Mayor, I didn't realize this. So he didn't even plug that in there. So that number would be even lower because I put in money to pay payments for the.
So
for the
that
booking
is
room.
for a loan payment?
Yes, sir.
So then what I should do that I didn't do is take another $350 and put in loan proceeds on the front revenue page, if that's the route we're
Because I projected it in this number, and that includes it. It's just, again, we had,
So the 254 number is all payments?
yes, sir. That's so we have 2 lease purchases on patrol cars. One's going to be paid off, so we would be adding the one that's considerably smaller than the others because it's 7, and then the booking room.
So are we borrowing money for the Sally Port or the?
I put it in mind.
Those loan payments are saying we're borrowing money, so if that is what we're doing, then we will add $350 back to revenue for that loan proceeds.
Just make sure, so if we
Yeah.
borrow money for the cars and the booking room, our payment's 254,
That's what
Yes,
Chief's
sir.
telling us, yeah.
Yes.
and the 12,000 interest on that loan.
Yes. And we really hope, and last year hurt us, not purchasing any cars, but we really hope, that in a couple of years, we could just be budgeting X number of dollars for patrol cars, and then we're not having to, or, if we've got revenue elsewhere where we could just purchase those out, I mean, that would be great too. So.
Y'all ready to move on to dispatch? Y'all want to ask the chief some more questions on his budget?
So basically, we're looking at a 1.3 million increase?
Right.
Yes, that's what we projected.
That's all you want, nothing else?
I could give you the want list.
That's not the want list, I'm scared then.
That's not the want list. Yes, sir.
How long does the average patrol car last? What do you get, 2, 3 years out of a car?
Oh, no, sir. No, sir. The way we do it, all of our police officers have their own car, so we get 6 or 7 years out of it. If we hot-seated cars, about 2 years. Everybody, Hernando had that program. It's a great program. They had it before I got here. But the maintenance cost, everything, it just reduces because if you're a one-man show, you can't blame it on somebody else. So, and the length of time that we're getting out of the cars, we have some officers that drive a little more than others, but typically 5 to 7.
And what was it, year before last that we bought 12?
Yes, sir.
Year before last?
Yes, sir. Yes, because we didn't get anything last year. Yes, sir. And projection even with the added, there might be a couple of years that we didn't add, but even if we're at, let's say we're at in 5 years, if we're at say 60 officers, you're probably looking at 6 or 7 cars a year, to cycle through because like general investigation, CID, those guys. We buy something cheaper, more, because they, when they go out and stuff, but those vehicles, you can get 2 of those cars for 1 patrol car, because a patrol car, you got to add all of the equipment, the computers, all of that, so.
I know
Where-
go ahead.
Where are we at on overtime? Where are we at on that? And what would these hires do to help, or would it even
It'll
think it would affect it, right? But
although COVID has been, it's really been tough on everybody. COVID did help a little bit in overtime because we didn't have near as many events. As you all know, Hernando is the epicenter of races and all that stuff. And there's a couple of events, I mean, we've done studies on this, race routes, that we literally, it takes every cop in our building to do it. And that's, you know, the overtime. But, you know, when you have a year like we had with so many injuries, with unfortunately, you know, cancer, when you have all that and you're literally down to about 27 or 28 working cops when you should, you know, have 50-something, you know, you have no choice. I mean, we got some roll call days where because of vacation or we got to send our guys to training or, you know, whatever, that we showed up and there's been 2 cops there. So, you know, I'm not gonna send our guys out. I mean, we already operate at an extremely low level, but I mean, I'm not gonna send them out in this city with 2 people. So if I gotta pay overtime, I'm gonna pay overtime.
And Mayor, on the, when you mention the loan proceeds, are you talking about the general fund, like the line that ends in 350?
That's right.
So it'd go to 131?
Yeah, we would add 350,000 to it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
You ready to do dispatch? Y'all also have a dispatch sheet,
Yes, sir.
I believe. And y'all will see that this is not, like the police department, this isn't the standard 3%. This is what dispatch is proposing for their department. Going to go ahead and
Okay.
talk about it?
Yep, I was just giving y'all a chance to look over. So, like Chief was saying, in the past 10 to 12 years, dispatch has not increased at all. We have 2 dispatchers working each shift on a good day. And our call volume is now almost 20,000. The fire bureau rating, that's right, correct, that does the insurance premiums did come in. They inspect us just like they go and inspect the fire department and everything. Per our call volume, we should be at 4 dispatchers per shift. Asking for 2 more full-time positions. We do currently have 3 full-time positions. 1 is not filled. 2 are filled, but both are in school and are really only available during summer and holiday hours. Right? I'm sorry, part-time, sorry. Part-time, 3 part-time, 2 are, 1's open, 2 are filled.
And just to piggyback on what she said, if y'all didn't catch it, we just had the Fire Rating Bureau come, and her ding on her department takes points off of our overall score towards our fire rating.
Correct. So my plan is, instead of the 3 part-time positions, we have 2 full-time positions that I could work maybe a noon to midnight shift during our busiest times. And then if we have any call-outs, the swing, that's what I'm calling the swing position, can come in early or come in later. That way overtime is cut drastically. So as far as pay adjustments, we're looking between about 7 to 11%. Dispatch right now is, again, the lowest in the county as well. Let me see. I think our uncertified dispatchers start out at like $16.37. And the closest one to us, agency-wise, is going to be Horn Lake, and I believe they start at 17. So I'm asking that we at least bump that to around 17.50. and then go up from there. We don't have in dispatch, you'll see a CTO stipend, which is just 50 cents extra an hour. For our certified dispatchers to train, I'm asking for that as a incentive to train, because we don't have that right now. We don't have the luxury of sitting back 6 months and doing the training. They start working and train on the job immediately. So as far as personnel wise, that's what we're looking for. Now, I think the budget sheet that I was given, and Chief, if I'm not, oh, well, I said, where it went? Back there, okay. I'll go with Chief Ellis. Chief Ellis, tell me if I'm wrong, but the current budget, or the 2021 budget, is showing the 573 for personnel salary. That does not include my position, is that correct?
No, because we have
Right, okay, so the budget actually is closer to 669, I think, with the director position added.
And for the board, I'm just noticing here, I've made an input error on your budget sheet you got, the main budget. If you will look at the FICA, instead of 40,971, I put 4,971. So that line item is off by about 36,000.
So it should be 40.
40,971. That was just a data entry error.
So is that total down there correct?
It is not. It'll be the same total at the end of your salary page, that's 753.
So the salary, that would include the 2 full-time instead of the 3 part-time, and the pay adjustment that we're requesting. As far as, I mean, if y'all want me to keep just going down line items and, okay.
So the two opens are, excuse me, the two opens are part-time, and then the open full-times are separated, so that's 4 positions, 2 part-time, 2 full-time?
Well, what we're looking for, what I'm asking for is 2 full-time instead of the part-time.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So there's a $535,000 increase in salaries. So that includes the 2 positions and the raises? Is that what you're saying?
For, let me see.
13410 is the line item.
Let me look, hold on.
Yeah.
The 535 is gonna be the dispatch salaries with the 2 full-time.
That's an increase of 122,000, which is the two salaries. Is that right?
And plus her position
Yeah,
that was
the
created
director
new.
salary is not
Yeah,
on there.
the director salary is not on the prior budget, because it was done in, what, March?
But Mr. Miller, you were here, that didn't they have some kind of offset to make that even?
No, what he's saying in this proposal, basically what the chief is saying, that this should be $600-some thousand in salary, make it a different, right at $185,000 different than last year's budget in salary. Correct, chief?
Asking is the reduction in overtime is what she's got the numbers.
Okay.
Remember, you reduced that overtime.
Oh, yeah, okay, so I'm sorry, thank you. Y'all gotta bear with me.
You're doing fine.
So the overtime was what, they budgeted for like 2080, which.
So there's gonna be a reduction
probably-
somewhere on this budget for an overtime
Oh,
cost.
absolutely, yes, overtime is gonna be,
To offset her salary,
It was
right?
like 2,080, and we brought that down to like 12.
yeah,
1,200.
1,200. And, I'm pretty confident that overtime's gonna be cut drastically with having 2 more full-time.
Well, sure. Are you having a hard time hiring people too?
I've got some good candidates. I do have 2 coming up to fill the open positions that we have now. The problem is that
Everybody's hiring.
everybody's hiring and we're the lowest paid. And,
Trust me, I know.
and-
Okay.
and, the good thing about us is we still do the 12-hour shifts, same kind of rotation as the officers. A lot of people like that.
And I thought y'all changed that to the 8 hours, cut the overtime out.
She has one shift where they're only here for X number of hours.
Right, right. I do have one.
You
I
got
have
a short
one.
shift that they run 12 hours to
Exactly.
make coverage. I got you.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
What's the difference in the two open positions? One's proposed for 2150 and the other one's proposed for 1950.
The 2150 is I think you're the one that's
I'm looking at
open
your
at the
big
top.
sheet, yeah.
Right, the one that's at the top, that's the one we have right now.
Okay,
So that's filling current positions that we have.
okay.
And then,
But if you go down a little bit further under Peacock, it has open and it's a little bit less.
that's the T1.
T1, okay.
Yeah, so that open position would be for a T1, which is an uncertified.
Okay,
And that's 1637. So under Mr. Peacock, that's actually our T2 rate. And then the 1848's our T3. And then 2007 is our T4. And our TAC officer gets a little bit more
okay.
for doing that TAC, which our TAC is our NCIC validations, all of our national crime computer stuff.
Y'all ready to move on down the list?
Okay, so as far as supplies, we kept it, I think, at about 500 there, and then 500 for uniforms. We don't have a lot of people don't see us, so we keep our uniforms simple. So as far as any dispatch supplies, we kept that we lessened it from last year. We did it at 1,000 instead of 2,000. The communication, which was 6,500, we upped that to 7,000. I believe Chief Ellis said we were pushing that 65, right? And that's for repairs, or is that for?
That's for the NCIC monitoring from AT&T.
AT&T monitoring, okay. Travel, we have upped that to about 1,000. Of course, we just got notification from the Standards and Training Office that we can actually expand our mileage. Instead of 100, we can go 150, and there'll be reimbursement for that. And this is going to go along with training as well. With COVID, we were not able to send any classes because they were not hosting any classes. So we've got to kind of play catch up on that.
Are y'all required to get so many hours training per year?
48 hours every 3 years to maintain certification. As far as our insurance, we left that at 5,600. Outside equipment repairs, we have bumped that up to 2,000 instead of 1,500. Right now, everything in dispatch is dated. I'm using that term nicely. It's very dated. So we've had to spend a lot trying to maintain that. I think here recently we did have a computer crash, so we do have to actually replace some. But the education seminars, we bumped up to 2,500. Again, that goes along with the training portion of it. As far as we weren't able to spend a lot in training last year because of COVID, so we've got to get everybody up to where they need to be. So the total for other services and charges is 18,100. We have upped the budget for equipment to 8,000. One of our computers costs about 4,000.
And one of your terminals is down, right?
One of the terminals is actually being replaced this week. So we have 3 positions. The position 1 is what we call position 1 is aged. We've been told it's going to need to be replaced soon. And then position 3 is not enough of a capacity computer to handle what we need it to do. So we have to have at least about 16 gig computers to run all of the stuff that we need. Position 3 is only a 4 gig, and positions 1 and 2, the one that's crashed, is 8 gig. So we are gonna have
You're
to up
replacing
those.
one now.
We are replacing one now, the others
You're gonna budget for next year, I guess.
in the near future, right. And then we also have to buy headsets and mics and get our dispatchers those equipment.
Very expensive, the furniture and all that.
Yep, I did receive a quote from that. We're looking probably about 2,500 to get the number that we need. So, let's see. We don't do the public safety equipment. So furniture and fixtures, we left at 1,000. Our desk and everything, those are still pretty good. Right now, what we're trying to focus on is getting our equipment where it needs to be. So the total dispatch budget would be 781.
Mayor, can I ask a question, just because I don't know?
Yes, sir.
If we borrow $350,000 for the Sally Port and we use $314, could that money be used to purchase our new dispatcher monitors or terminal stations as well,
Sure. Yeah.
if there's some left over?
Yeah. Don't spend all.
I've been buying their stuff for years, to be fair, because they don't have any money. So that computer that just got bought,
It did come out of that.
police budget.
Yeah.
They have no money.
Thank you, Chick.
And so we don't, we don't do just police. We handle our fire department, our EMS. We handle our animal control, after-hours animal control. We have after-hours public works. If we get a code enforcement, that's going to be on us as well. So with 2 people, it's overwhelming. So that's.
Good. Y'all have any more questions for us? You did a good job for your first time.
Thanks.
So,
Yes, sir.
that's my same
That's
question again. And y'all know what the question is.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish y'all answer the question before I ask the question. So we're talking about anywhere from a 9% to 11% increase in salary.
7 to 11%.
In
Yes, sir.
salary.
Yes, sir.
And you're talking about a total budget increase of $151,000.
Roughly. Let's see, well, it,
And that's what?
6, because the,
150,
No,
185.
because they do not include.
Oh, that's right.
they do
Including
not
mine would be
include the-
6.
The other salary, so
Yeah.
that's
185.
that's 200, that's 200,000. Correct, Chief?
Sir.
About 200-some thousand, right, increase? Instead of
Well, but-
151,
Yes, sir, on our adjustments to
yeah,
bring us
instead
up.
of 151, it's over 200,000.
including my salary, yes, sir.
That's including her salary, because it's not in there.
Yeah, 187.
Yep.
Anything else for her?
We're showing a revenue increase of 1.9 million, right? Is what it
Yes.
says on here.
That's correct.
And with the fire department, the police department and dispatch, that's a pretty good chunk of that revenue, right?
Right, correct. And the fire is, yeah, I'm sorry. You're talking about revenue and expenses.
And I think the
Correct.
parks department wanted a is that included in that number as well? We have to add that to that? We stack that on top of the police department's increase? So
Yeah.
they're about a 1.5 increase in what the police department wanted. What the parks wanted. We're right at our number of extra revenue, right?
Pretty close.
And we haven't even got to the fire department yet.
That's right.
Well, we also gotta add 350 to that revenue number too. 350,000, because
Okay,
loan
that's
proceeds
true.
that'll add into it. So there will, definitely gotta,
And that 350, when we add it in there, it will bottom out down there, giving us a total 350 of more contingency, unless y'all add some.
But we're borrowing money though.
That's right, we'd be borrowing, correct.
Good thing it rained yesterday. Water our money trees.
Court department, would y'all like to come up? Who wants to come, the judge or Cassie or both?
Did you hear me?
I'm gonna let those that are speaking to me speak, so Cassie can represent that.
And of course, on the personnel portion, there are some proposals to up things there as well, so.
And if I could, went kind of fast through the revenue part. of like the police fines, the court admin, the court costs, special city assessments. Could you run through those numbers again real quick for me?
On the revenue?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's see. All right, you want police fines first?
Yes, sir.
500,000.
Okay,
The next one is the court admin dismissal for 28,000.
okay,
Court cost revenue, 115,000.
okay.
Specialty court assessments, 15,000.
15,000, okay.
So they got you.
Yes, sir, thank you. I just want to make sure I heard.
And somehow I have not laid a sheet of court personnel in front of y'all, have I? Okay, I'm going to have to get that to you.
Do we just start with that, or you just go down the list?
Just go ahead and start with personnel.
Personnel.
What y'all are asking for in extra personnel.
What I'm asking for is, in percentage numbers, anywhere from 3 to 7% increase for my ladies, except for mine. One of mine is fairly new. Her 90 days is falling right at October, the new budget time. So I think what would be fair for that is just the standard, what we normally do across the board for a 90-day performance raise for her. I just promoted one of my clerks to a lead clerk, so I'm asking for just a little bit more for her. Oh, okay. And the other one is just the standard, I think I did her 3%.
Are you asking for any additional staff?
I was asking for one part-time, just for our regulations that we have to go by. It's pretty rough the way we have to do it. It's either the ladies in the office are running ragged because taking collections, there's only one person, the line gets way out the door, people get tired of standing there and they'll leave. Or I'm in the courtroom and I'm like running ragged, delaying it because I'm doing judges' work, I'm doing checking in people that are coming in. The prosecutor's hollering for something, doing the inmates, when we have to have those in the afternoon. Chief Ellis has been graciously to allow me to use one of his admin, but I know that's going to end very soon.
And the idea being this person would probably work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, day before court, day of court, day after court.
And sometimes Jessica would come over too, I think, at one
Right.
time.
Yes, that was another extra hand, but
I've been keeping her pretty busy lately, though.
yeah, so she's no longer with us.
I got you.
So it strained us because we have to check people in and those guidelines, it's straining us. That extra help would be very much needed. And just for busy work on the days before and after, getting the docket ready, preparing the files, doing that busy work, what I call, would be a great benefit.
Busy work, but necessary work.
Yes, yes, absolutely necessary work.
I had a quick question real quick, so on as far as that goes, because from the presentation we just heard from police, obviously, we've got numbers that are increasing. How long has the court been at one day of court, and at what point do we need to look at additional court days? I mean, is
That's probably a question for the judge.
Yes.
is that,
I'm happy to answer that. And Mayor and I have discussed that. Prior to COVID, we were on the verge of needing at least one more court day a month. And I say per month, I don't ever want to come to the board and ask for you to give us an extra day a week, and then we're not busy. I mean, that's just not fair to the city, and I don't want to ever be sitting down there not busy or have any of the staff on there. So we are close to needing an extra day per month. Then when COVID hit, the numbers dropped, so we could only allow so many people in the courtroom. So our dockets decreased. Now, next year is just hard to predict because I know the police seek to add staff. There are going to be additional tickets written. I don't know how many people we can add to court still. I don't know how the dockets will look. So I don't think we'll need another court date next year. It's possible, but I would hate to come to you now and ask you to add a court date and then I don't need it.
yeah,
So
sure.
I mean, I defer to the board whichever way you feel more comfortable, but it's going to come soon once we figure out all this COVID.
Thank you.
I think now y'all have your personnel spreadsheet for court. Sorry I didn't have it already.
And if we do pick up, if COVID settles down and we're able to get back to somewhat normalcy, maybe, knock on wood, if I can get that part-time clerk, then maybe that could turn into a full-time as we begin to grow. More tickets are starting to pick back up and things just start progressing, which I'd come back and ask for that.
Is it currently paying, or this is just creating a new position?
This would be creating a new position.
Is $10 an hour enough to find somebody?
I checked with some of the other agencies that have some of their part-time clerks, and they do range. South Haven did have one at $10, but he just increased it to $13. Olive Branch, I think they are like 12 or 13,
Okay.
something around that.
Because we've been looking at some of our low hourly paid positions in other areas, so.
Now, that 3 to 7%, that was just for my ladies. That was not including mine. I'll leave it to, I know what Mr. Miller said earlier as far as the salary, the budget, what we have to look at, but I will say, I'm the only department head on hourly. I do work before I come to work, I work after, I work on the weekends. I don't account for it. Some of it, I just keep up, because that makes my life easier. Because when he walks in, that docket's got to be ready. It's not something I can just put off. So some things have to be done timely, and I can't help it. It just makes my life easier.
Where is your salary compared to some of the other clerks in the county?
Very low. Because all the other clerks
Salary?
are all salaries.
So you're asking me to put on salary?
Not necessarily. I could be discussed. But I've been here for 16 years, and some of the other clerks in the area are nowhere close to that, actual as clerk. They've been with the cities, and that's why their pay is a lot more, because they've been in other departments, but actual as the clerk, no.
And I will say, I work directly with you, or at least my staff does, and she does a fantastic job.
She does.
Hernando
Thank you.
Court's one of the better courts in the county as far to work with, so.
I've heard our judge say the same thing.
I think this fall in line what we tasked the mayor to do. I think this should fall in line with that also. I think he should bring us back a recommendation.
That's right.
I think this fall in line with, we have requested of him.
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. We can move on if you're,
You want to move on to the
any other
court supply?
questions on what you have, what I proposed, and then whatever. Let's see, going through, the court supplies at number 500, I left the same. Most of mine stayed the same. There's not too much change. Office supplies, I left the same. Janitorial, I left it the same. Uniforms, I left the same. Miscellaneous, the same. Repairs, I'm sorry, somebody have a question?
That's all flat.
Yes.
Once you get down to 600.
Okay, yep, all flat. Okay, the court attorney and judges. Judge Nowak can speak on some of this if he wants, but what I did was I increased that from $25,000 to $37,650. Due to one, that what we pay our our public defenders. I'd like to increase them from $250 for each appearance that they appear in court to $350, and allow 5 additional stand-in spots for if one of my prosecutors are out or if a public defender is out. I can pay somebody to come stand in.
Who are your regular public defenders? I know Clay and who else?
Stacey Spriggs. Mm-hmm. And what that does is we have next budget year, we actually have 52 court dates. 4 of the months out of the budget year will have actual 5 court dates. So that's why it's off, kind of not an even number. And then the 5 additional, I do say the 5 additional dates, leaving it at 250 for just a stand-in, which that would bring it to 37,650. Inmates that we had, one of the reasons is when we have so many inmates, we only have 2 hours to get 16 of them done, 20 of them done. And this fiscal year so far, we've had 783 inmates. We still have 5 court dates to go. So that's averaging 16. You want to say something? Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was gonna add something once you're
Okay. Last year, we had 589. That averaged out about 11 per court date. And the year before that was roughly 525. The way our court session is, in the morning times, we do our inmates and we do attorneys. And then the afternoon, when we pick up at 1, then we do our regular session. It cuts back with all the attorneys and not getting to our regular session until 3 o'clock because we have so many attorneys. But sometimes when we have so many inmates, we have to bring them back in the afternoon, and that, therefore, either Clay or Stacy has to come in, or both, depending on how many we have. I think it was last week, we had like 8 and 9, or, I mean, that's still, in just a small gap, that's a lot to do. And like I was saying, I need that extra help. I'm working inmates, and I'm working the judge, and I'm working the prosecutors, checking people in. Something's going to get missed, something's going to get messed up and be done wrong. So,
just so to put it in perspective for you, when Clay and Stacy first were appointed as your public defenders on a more regular basis back in 2017, we probably averaged 6, maybe 8 inmates at a time. They'd come in at 10 o'clock when court started, and regularly they'd be done by noontime. Now we're probably averaging 12, 14, 16 inmates a day, sometimes 20 inmates a day. They come in at 10, they get as much done as they can by 12, they come back at 1, they leave at 2, 2:30. So it's not that they're doing the same job. I've never come to you and asked for this amount of an increase if they were doing the same job. The number of inmates that they're handling has doubled since their original pay. It's at least doubled. And that doesn't just involve what they do in the courtrooms. When they're appointed as a public defender, a lot of times, particularly with inmates, they only have a little bit of time to speak to them in the back, so to speak. When they leave, those inmates are then calling them at the office. They're showing up at their office. So it's not just doubling the work that they have here in the courtroom. It's doubling the work that they're doing for the city outside of the courtroom as well. And it's not going to slow down. I think the chief will vouch for that. We're going to continue to have more and more inmates. And we're also seeing a lot more inmates, as the chief showed, with felony cases. And that adds work to them as well, because you have to have additional hearings on felonies versus misdemeanors. So the work that they do in the courtroom has increased a lot as well.
Thanks, Judge.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all have enough clarification on that line item increase? Okay.
Moving on to legal expenses, left the same. Interpreter, left the same. We were able to use one of the officers, but he's no longer with us, so I'm hoping that will not have to be adjusted too much. Professional services, I know, Ms. Powell, we were discussing that. I wasn't actually sure what all was actually coming out of that was created a couple of years ago. But
Nothing came out of it this current
No,
year.
So we reduced that down to 500. The communications, we increased to 400. That's our phone system. Is that correct? Is that what comes?
4,000.
It's reduced down to 4,000.
And we had 31 budgeted last year.
Yeah, this one's been amended for the current budget year, so it's showing 4,500.
Oh, okay, guess what?
And Cassie,
okay.
we might want to think about raising that one up to 4,500 because you're at 4,044 right now.
Oh, okay.
So,
Say that was flat.
would everybody agree with that? We could raise that one to 4,500, back
Okay.
up to 4,500,
If that's where.
where it
they're-
was before.
Yeah, that's where they're coming in.
Okay. Just miscellaneous services, I left the same, website the same. That online credit card fees, that doesn't apply to us. The pest control, that was straight across the board. Travel expenses, I left the same. The only thing that the city pays for my travel is just the summer conference. The judicial college pays for all my other travels, or the actual court clerks association for different board meetings. All comes from them. The city doesn't pay for it. The printing and binding, I increased that to 2,500. That's just for the ticket books, affidavit books, anything, and like the summons books that the officers use. Insurance, did that get adjusted any?
It did. I put it at 3,000 in the budget. It looks like so far this year, about 1,800's been allocated towards y'all, so 3,000 should cover you for next year.
For the insurance, number
Yes.
625, okay.
Should cover you easily. You'll probably have extra there.
Okay. Utilities, we upped it to 1,300. The outside repair to the building, we left it 5,000. As the previous one stated, it's just an old building. I mean, repairs, I don't have a lot to repair, but things do crash out because it's an old building. Our computer software maintenance, we left at 60. That is the rental our lease, for our software program. Outside repair others, we did that for 3,500. That is for our DeSoto Tech, any kind of computer issues or anything like that we have to do. And again, that would help too if we had somebody on staff for like an IT person. I guess Chief would share the IT person if you've got one. The rentals, that's for like our copier and stuff, that's increased to 2,800. Education and seminars, we decreased that to 500. No, we left that the same, excuse me. We left that the same, and the dues and subscriptions, we decreased to 500 from 1,000.
Do you have a training requirement each year?
Yes, sir. I have to go to, I have to have 12 hours every year.
And deputy clerk as well, or just you?
Just me. Mhm. That one class that is, that gives me those 12 hours, that is what the judicial college pays for. The summer program, I get extra hours, and then any other offset training the judicial college pays. The last thing I've got is some capital improvement for furniture and fixtures. We have 4,000 in here, but I wanted to ask.
You sent me an email with those benches.
I did. That and a copy of the Dropbox.
Right.
It was just something.
I can forward y'all that email. It had the detail of what she was asking for, some benches to go out on the front porch. Because during COVID, they're only letting a certain number of people in the building.
Mm-hmm.
So people were stuck out front, so we were going to.
And there's just no place to sit. I mean, if somebody, just wanted to sit, or an elderly person, somebody was on crutches, happened to be coming in, there's just nowhere for them to sit. And the Dropbox was just, maybe if Chief would allow Officer Thornton just to install that in the wall to where people could come and do night drops. Because they used to put it in between the doors. But, drug court is over there, election commission's over there, it's just not safe. So, that way they can drop it off, they could drop a certificate off, doctor's note, whatever we might need, if they just didn't want to come in after hours on the weekends when we're not here. They could do that. The only other thing under that was the mesh, some form that we talked about, putting underneath that canopy to keep the birds out. Because the birds are roosting in the exposed trusses. It's
and
horrible.
making a mess.
No, well, they don't swoop, but they're nesting up under the viaduct, and it's all over the floor, all over the wall, over the door, the handles. It's just horrible. And police, the ones that are standing out there, I mean, I don't know if they would still be out there because they'd probably get scared off. But I think that would help to keep the birds away, to keep it a little cleaner. Because it's horrible when you go to, and the just doors covered with stuff. The only other thing that we discussed, Mayor, was I am going to need a new heat and air unit over there, but I don't recall that we put it in
We
anywhere.
don't have that in the budget.
I did send you
Why
a,
not? Put it in there.
Have the HVAC people told you need one?
yes, I've had two people. I sent you one updated quote, and I'm waiting on another updated quote.
What was the cost?
Um,
I don't see how we can get around not putting that one in.
this one was, right at 8,000.
8.
Yes, ma'am.
That would be under capital improvement, machinery and equipment.
Yes.
A 5-ton unit?
It was a, uh, 3-ton.
3-ton.
Lennox 3-ton. And it was with a 10-year heat exchanger warranty, 5-year compressor, 3-year coil, 1-year parts and labor.
That was from Eldridge, wasn't it?
That was from Eldridge, and I'm
Yeah,
waiting on one.
I saw that come through.
Okay. The,
Do we have some funds in this year's budget to carry over to cover that, maybe? Does she have any extra money anywhere?
I don't think we've got any extra in that. No, we didn't have any capital in the budget.
not from last year, no. And I do have the, I don't know, I think the cost of the benches, I got 2 different ones. I think they came in after I sent you the picture with maybe that one price. But she sent me one for a 6-foot, 4 of them, and then I did an 8-foot for 3 of them, kind of spacing them out, and with the cost of the freight and everything, it was like 33 and 3,500 for the total of those. And those do match what was on the square. They match the the receptacles, so it would kind of look uniform.
Okay. Any other questions for the council or the judge while you've got them?
So with the air conditioner, we're looking at about $66,000 increase.
Yes,
Wait,
sir.
add 500 on that 4,500 versus 4,000.
That's right.
Yeah,
We're
oh,
at
yeah.
we're at like 67,222.
And what did that actually pay for the professional services? What do we pay for that?
Let's see. What's the line item number on that?
604.
I think there's a question what we were paying.
Or you talking about the
We didn't pay anything out of it this year.
Oh, excuse me, that's communications.
communications,
605.
605. I'm sorry.
That's just the
Let's
phone.
see.
The phone.
We paid $4,044 out of it so far. C-Spire, Comcast, Fusion Cloud, AT&T. It's just those same, pretty much over and over. Quadient Leasing,
That's the phone system, I guess.
Mhm. When did we get the new phone systems, Chief?
C-Spire Business Solutions.
Was it during the?
Yeah, they're all phone type items.
It's a fairly new system. We got it last year.
It sounds like you're paying the internet bill out of that account too, it sounds like, or
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was the Comcast. Okay. Y'all through with the court system?
Yes, thank you.
Judge, you have
Thank
anything
you.
else you want to?
can we take a 5-minute break maybe?
Let's do that after the judge wraps us up, if you don't mind.
If I may just make.
Close an argument here.
Well, not so much an argument, I hope, and I really truly hope I'm not overstepping my bounds, and I apologize if I am, but I cannot say enough good things about Cassie. And I know it's hard for all of you to balance your budget and make it work. If you do see fit to give raises, I'm more than happy for any part of the raise that there will be to go to Cassie, because she really should know.
Thank you for that, Judge.
Thank you.
Let's take a 5-minute pause.
Thank you.
Did you bring some snacks?
proceed with your budget presentation.
Oh, I'll wait on you. I'm in no rush. Get all energy you need.
And I will note before he starts, if you'll look on the salaries down there, he has combined his fire and EMS salaries into one line item, and he'll discuss why he's doing that.
All right, on my salary, since I know you're gonna ask, I'm asking for 0% for me, all the way up to 20% for my medics. And just understand that right there still makes us, if nobody else in the county gets a raise, we're still the lowest paid department in the county. That's why we can't keep anybody, or we can't get anybody. The reason why I'm combining the ambulance and the fire is because now we started cross-training our medics to be firemen and our firemen to be medics. So what's happening now is we're using medics on the ambulance, medics on the fire truck, and we're using our new firemen to drive the ambulance until they get certified, and then they start rotating out, driving the ambulance and being on the truck. So having two different line items, we had some firemen on the ambulance side, some ambulance people on the fire side. It was just, it was getting messed up. So if we just combine them all into one big group, it makes it a lot easier when we have to work overtime, or we schedule somebody, or we hire somebody and it's a fire slot open, but they're driving the ambulance and we got to put them in the ambulance side. Or if we hire them as an ambulance person, they become a fireman. Because the best way to do it is cross-train. That way we got one person doing two jobs, and we're getting as many as we can like that. Since the Fire Rate Bureau was mentioned, they were here last week, and we did get a better rating than we ever had. We're actually just 1.5 points away from going to a Class 4, which an insurance guy knows that's good for everybody. There's 4 categories they go off of. The fire department rated the lowest out of all 4 categories. So just letting y'all know that's where all this is coming from. Let's see here. The police department mentioned they hadn't hired a new policeman since 2012. We haven't hired a new fireman since 2004. We had the exact same people riding on the truck in 2004 that we do today. There's not been one thing added. Not been anything taken away, but there's not one thing that's been added. We should have 4 people on a fire truck, every fire truck every day. We hire to have 3 on a fire truck every day. With everything going on with, when you hire to have just the bare minimum on your fire trucks every day, and you got vacation time, sick time, COVID, you got to train people, there's people gone. When people are gone, you got to fill that slot. When we have a set dollar amount in our budget, I think my overtime was somewhere around $119,000. I'm going to stay within that budget. I'm going to do everything I got to do to stay within that budget. So what that's done is, instead of riding 3, 3, and 3, which is 3 men on every truck at every station, every day. So that's 3, 3, and 3. Since October 1st to August 27th, that's 331 days. We've worked 3, 3, and 3, 25 days out of that 331. So 91% of the days this year we've worked below what the state says is minimum for us to safely work. And there's just no way we can keep doing that. We've got to start putting 3 people on the truck. So I'm going to either have to have people, or I'm going to have to have a ton of overtime money. We can't keep doing it. We had a fire not too long ago, and the mayor was there, and I think we had six people that could actually fight fire. It was 86 degrees. I mean, it was a hot day, but it wasn't our hottest day. We had one go to the hospital, and we had one we had to stick IV lines in to get him back hydrated. We just can't, and that was a 1-bedroom fire. That wasn't Wesley Meadows. That wasn't a floor up on the 4th floor of a hotel. I mean, that was a 1-bedroom. The house wasn't even up on a hill. I mean, it was just a simple fire, but it just takes so much out of you in the first 10, 15 minutes to knock it down, and then you don't have anybody else to do anything else, so they got to keep working. So it just puts us in a bind every time we do it. But anyway, past that, so on the salaries, I've got a breakdown of each position I didn't put anything in for me, but my admin people, I put in for 4%. My captains, lieutenants, and my drivers, I put in for 6% raise. For my certified firemen, I put in for 8% raise. My uncertified firemen, I put in for a 12% raise. And my paramedics, I put in for a 20% raise. And keep in mind, that still keeps us lower than anybody right now. And they're doing the same thing I'm doing. They're trying to get money.
Will you talk about the problem you have with your paramedics getting certified here and then leaving because of the pay differential?
Yeah, I've actually, let's see.
You sent me these numbers, I mean, so I think we're at 47,000 is what we pay our paramedics, and.
Yeah, we pay 47,000. I think the next lowest paid department is the county, and they pay 59. So
it's about a $12,000.
They can leave me right now and make $1,000 a month. And there's gonna be more October 1st, because they're all getting raises too. But I can tell you, since 2004, we've lost 83 people. My department's only 46 people. We've lost 83. On average, since 2004, we've lost 4.6 people a year. The last 4 years, the average has been 6 people a year. So it's getting worse, it's not getting better.
Most of them are going to other departments for higher pay?
Yes. To hire a fireman, and I'm not talking about a medic, I'm just talking about a fireman. Hire a fireman, send them to the academy, dress them, outfit them, everything. It's a little over $19,000 a person. And then they leave. I mean, and there's nothing we can do about it, because they can go right anywhere they want to go, anywhere they want to go and make more money.
Are most of them staying in DeSoto County when they leave?
Well, I know we made a count.
Out of the 80 something, it's like 40, it's still.
Yeah, they're still.
So most of them aren't just like moving.
Now, some of our medics do go to private ambulances, but yes, they're all, majority of the firemen and medics are staying inside DeSoto County.
Chief, just for, not to stop you, but since we got a lot of board members, I don't want you to paint a picture as though this board has not drastically increased salaries in the fire department in the last 2 years.
Oh, y'all did?
So I want you to make sure that be, because where you're talking as though y'all had not received anything.
No, but.
And so let me finish if you don't mind. Because I don't want to go out here as a one-sided picture. Because y'all came in here with some proposal to this board, so in order to keep our people, this is what we want. And the board, and I can, Dr. Alderman Harris can attest it, we did exactly what y'all asked us to do. In less than 2 months after we did what you asked us to do, we had so many firemen to leave, it was unreal.
Well,
and you told us that this is what we're going to take to keep
I didn't tell you.
The fire department told this board that this is what it takes to keep my personnel in the fire department.
Yeah. I don't want to go into any reasons why people left 4 years
Less than
ago.
45 days, we had 5 or 6 people leave.
Yeah, I don't want to go into reasons why those people left.
So you're saying the same argument tonight, that you're saying if you don't get this, the people are going to leave. We changed the structure on the fire department and ambulance. We consolidated some line items, correct? I mean, on pay, because we said, all right, we're going to take everybody out of this and put all these salaries over here to make it more conducive. All this happened. So tonight, we're hearing the same thing. We consolidating to make it more efficient. We're hearing the same thing, that if I get these numbers, I'm not gonna lose people. So I want the rest of the board here to know that this board, some of this board, we did what they asked, what the department asked, and they still left.
Yeah, no, that was 4 years ago when we had our big pay adjustment. And it was a good pay adjustment. But again, it was the exact pay adjustment I'm asking for right now. We're bumping up to where people are as they are bumping up. So I couldn't come in here and ask I'm already asking for a tremendous amount of money. I couldn't come in here and ask to be paid just as much as them or even more. Because I know we're battling to get where we're at right
I
now.
don't want the rest of the board here to think that we've been sitting on this board and not have been sympathetic in hearing what the request has been made.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying as of right now, this is my first year. As of right now, this is the problem we have. I know we had a pay adjustment 4 years ago, but within that 4 years and now, everybody else's adjustments have been much bigger than ours. And that's where that gap is coming in again. And like I said, 4 years ago, when we bumped everything up to an adjustment, it was still below everybody in the county. So we hadn't actually caught up when that happened, which is exactly what I'm asking for now. So if history repeats itself in 4 more years, I'm gonna be up here begging for the same thing again. If we can't start competing with the people that are here and the people taking our people, there's nothing else we can do. We have to have firemen, we have to have ambulances.
And to be, you were not the chief 4 years ago, were you?
No. Now, I've been deputy chief since 2004, so I've been involved and I've been sitting in these meetings. You know, I've been around, I know exactly what's been going on and everything. But this is a different situation now. I mean, I'm the one's got to stand up here, what I'm saying today, 4 years from now, I don't mind taking that argument because I'm saying something right now and you come and.
No, I just want to make that a matter of record that.
Right. Well, I didn't say nothing about y'all hadn't done something for us, but y'all did really good for us 4 years ago.
So it wouldn't go out there saying that this board has not been sympathetic to all our public service.
Right. I hadn't said y'all have been sympathetic. Y'all have been very good to us. I'm just trying to let you know the situation we're in right now.
Chief, I got a quick question on the spreadsheet we've got here. It's like color coded.
Yes.
What's like the method to that? Is it like certain positions?
When Julie made that, she made it easier for us, so all the colors mean a certain thing. And I don't actually have that color coded one, but if you'll look at them, it will have.
Chief.
So the color code is grouping them. So what we do is we pay the position. We don't pay the person. That's another problem we don't have. We don't have longevity pay. So I have all my lieutenants do a lieutenant's job. That's what they're qualified to do. That's what we hire them to do. They do a lieutenant job. All lieutenants make the same amount of money. All captains make the same amount of money. All paramedics make the same amount of money. There's no difference. We pay the position. We don't pay the person, which is longevity. We've asked for it. We hadn't got it. It's something I think will help us keep people, especially the ones that have been here longer than 5 years. Because more than half of my department is less than 5 years, you know, that I have right now. Now, I will say once they hit 5 years, they tend to not run off as fast because they've been promoted and they're a little bit higher than where they can go somewhere else. But within that first 5 years, that's the hard part of holding on to those people. Now, medics, that's going to be hard to hold on to anything if we can't do anything for them. I mean, we've got to get that together. But anyway, all the yellow are certified firemen. Excuse me. And that just shows you that they all make, we've got them all at the exact same dollar amount. The gray there right below, that's our lieutenants. And then the white are all of our medics. And when I say medics, those are our people that are just medics or they're medic firefighters, which still get paid medic pay because the firefighter pay is too low to keep a medic if we changed them over. The red are our drivers. And let's see. The green are our drivers that are, they're actually firefighter driver medics. So they're actually been promoted on the fire side to be a driver, but they're also a medic. And they're required to work so many hours on the ambulance a month because we pay them for that service. And plus, when it comes to overtime, they mandatory get shot over to the ambulance. If we have somebody calling sick, we grab them, throw them on the ambulance. They have no choice. That's that extra pay that they get. Because they're a medic, we can move them whenever we want to. And I believe that covered all the colors.
So how many people are you asking to, additional people than from
Well,
last year?
I mean, if I'm just asking, I'd love to have one on each truck on each shift. That's 9 people.
But what's in this budget proposal right here? 4?
This below here is actually 5 positions. 3 of them are firefighter positions. let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to look, see where all this,
And the numbers for the extra positions are not in this
Oh.
budget.
okay, yeah,
Okay, so
Yeah.
those are just wishful thinking, I guess.
yes. Yeah, and, I mean,
But we do have some open positions on page 2.
Yeah. I thought that's what he's proposing to add.
yeah, I've got one, only open position I've got is one medic position. Now, I do got some part-time positions, and I'm gonna try to hire them next to you tonight. Those are just part-time people we're hiring to come drive the ambulance. Because it's a lot cheaper for me to pay a part-time person to drive my ambulance than it is a lieutenant that makes a ton of money, pay him time and a half to come drive the ambulance, or a driver.
So let me just be clear, just for myself. So the 796,000, we're combining the two, the ambulance and the fire together, and we're adding no additional personnel and asking for the raises that he's got proposed here. Is that
Right.
correct?
That's what I put in your budget, yes, sir.
Right.
And you're saying you don't need any people?
Well, I always need people.
He would like to have more for sure.
He just didn't do it.
We're not being required at this time to add more to keep our fire rating. I would say it's going to be a really good argument next year to add people.
Yeah, it's definitely coming, because they came in 2004, and that's what made us hire people.
Well, I know you, and I think in your proposal you gave us all, there was some, I think about a training guy or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I need a training position. I need a deputy fire marshal, you know, because I've got Matt right now. He's a one-man show, and obviously y'all know how big the city is. He's having to do that, and he's trying to help the building department too, and he just doesn't have time. And there's so many other things that he could be doing that we haven't ever started. He's been here 14 years. One guy can't do everything. Now, I do have something later that I'm gonna propose to y'all as far as a pay scale for the fire marshal's office. We're the only city that does not have it. So when a commercial building is being bid out, the first thing to do is call the building department and say, what are your permit fees? Then they call the fire department or the fire marshal's office and say, what are your permit fees? And we say none. And they say, are you kidding me? Because we're the only ones that don't do it. So we need to get on board with that. And that would just about pay for that position. I mean, obviously, I can't say that until we know what money it would generate, but it's an actual income that we do not have right now at all.
And the 796, does that include your longevity proposal as well?
No, longevity is completely separate.
So right now then, we could go through and talk about every one of these numbers, but it's gonna be repetitive. So we just go over to 0116 to 830.
01,
Is that your number?
yeah, 160?
Is that your number, 160,
Yeah.
830?
No,
interest?
16830
On
is.
page 13.
Yeah,
On page 13?
yeah, it starts at 160,500.
Yeah, I'm talking about, I'm going to the bottom line.
Oh, to the total fire department.
I'm going to the bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah, that 160,
830.
830, that's interest on the loans that we have. We got 3 loans on
And then
3
the
big
line right
fire
under
trucks.
that's not really marked, it's not numbered, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
1,821,129.25. That's the difference in the budget.
Not in the
That's
fire
for
budget.
total public
That's
safety.
total public
All right, so
safety.
give me, what's your bottom line?
His is that 306 number. You see the 306 right above the number you just read? Right above the
Yours
number?
is 306,
His is 306.
yours is almost $250,000.
Yes.
Yeah, over $250,000.
I would like to ask about 16735, the capital vehicles. Is that $80,000 increase? Is that what a new truck?
735.
Yeah,
That's for 130, so that is for a backup ambulance.
That's for new ambulance.
Yes, and I don't have to have the big monster ones that we have right now, but I need one that we can use. So right now, we've got 2 backup ambulances that are out of service completely. We have 2 fairly good ambulances, but we have electrical issues with one of them. So when we have to put it in the shop, we can't go down an ambulance, so we have to borrow an ambulance from Walls Fire Department, the county.
At one time, I think that we bought a new ambulance and it caught on fire and we got that replaced. and-
Right, well, the electrical issues we're having now is with the new one, that's the Dodge,
Yes.
that burned up last time. It's the same situation with electrical. So we're trying to keep it in the shop before it burns down at the hospital again. So tracking electrical is horrible.
Right.
Obviously, I don't think anybody in the world knows how to do it, but whenever we put it in the shop because it has electrical issues, we have to put our people in another ambulance because we can't go down to one ambulance. So since October 1st, we've been in a backup ambulance 130 out of 330 days. So 40% of the time, we've been in somebody else's backup ambulance because we don't have a backup ambulance.
County charge you for that?
No, they don't. Thank goodness they don't.
I thought y'all got a new ambulance a few years
We
ago.
do. We used to only have one ambulance. Then we bought a second ambulance so we would have two ambulances.
So the one that's the newest is having electrical issues?
Yes.
Yeah, 51.
Is it under warranty?
Yeah,
No.
the reason it does stay in the shop as much as it does, because we are trying to take advantage of the warranty. So if we
Oh,
had
okay,
any
so it
type
is
of
still
problem
under
whatsoever,
warranty.
It is,
Okay.
it's got like 90, well, one of them's got 90-something thousand miles, the other one's got 70-something.
Yeah. So we're fighting the warranty all we can, but we're running out of time and we're not getting the problem fixed. So we're just making sure we keep it documented so that if it gets past warranty, we got a little bit of a fight in us.
What about
Because-
16730? What is that in? That's a pretty good size increase.
167.30. That is, okay,
What was the 110 above that, though, if you want to back
You
up?
do my 730 off my chair.
Yeah.
730, right?
730.
16730, I'm sorry.
so 167.30, we are running out of air packs. We've got probably 20 air packs that are fixing to go out, if not already out. We've been buying 3 or 4 at a time every year for the past 3 or 4 years, but it's to the point we're fixing to have to buy a bunch. So we've got budgeted for 9 air packs, and they're roughly $10,000 a piece.
All right.
We also are trying to get a NARC accountability system, which is a safe. Well, right now, we've got a big safe that has to be behind 3 locks, and only a few people have access to that. That's where all of our DEA narcotics are. When the ambulance needs them, one of the 2 of us have to go in there, pull them out, sign it on a sheet of paper, then they put it in, everything's paper. What we're trying to do now is have safes that are, the safe that we have now be replaced, and the safe in the 2 ambulances, and hopefully the 3rd ambulance. And it'll all have scan coded. So once we buy the narcotics, we'll scan them into that safe. And as we pull them out of that safe, it registers, I grabbed it. And then when they put it in their safe, it says they put it in there. And then when that safe gets opened up, it tells me who took it out. So if that safe ever gets opened and nothing's logged in that it was taken out and we're missing something, we know exactly who it is. Right now, we just have little plastic tabs that you stick on it and everything's done in paper.
Basically, inventory control system, get off the paper.
Yeah, and with the DEA narcotics, that's something we've been very lucky that we haven't had a problem with yet, because they control those very heavily. And if we ever do have a problem with it, it's gonna cost us well more than this NARC system is gonna cost us, which is, we figure with our quotes and everything and the software, it's gonna be somewhere around $12,000 for our main safe and 3 safes mounted in the ambulance and the software to run everything. And then the $8,000, which rounds it up, makes it up to 110. The $8,000 is a radio and siren, the certain things we've got to add to an ambulance once we buy it. You know, stripe it to where it has our City of Hernando all over it. And then that makes that dollar amount.
I think that's really his increases,
Yeah,
the
it is.
salaries and those 2 items.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, everything else is pretty flat. You know, the other service and charges, that whole multitude of line items only raises 6,800. And then the one above there went down 18,000, so that's, you're right, that's the bulk of it there.
Yeah, and I do have 50,000 in here on 720, or 40,000 on here for 720, and that's basically our Station 3 in the middle of town, right beside Walmart, is on a septic tank.
And that one didn't make this budget, but if that's something the board wants to do.
Yeah, well, I was kind of hoping y'all's $3.3 million of that COVID stuff with your water and all that other junk, we could
And that's
get a
what
sewer.
that's why I didn't put it here.
Okay.
I'm hoping when we do start doing our water and sewer improvements, that running a sewer line to at $40,000, we could run a sewer line at the fire station within that budget.
We bid it out 4 or 5 years ago, and I think it was $40,000, because we were kind of waiting for the church to build, and then we could just run from the church on Monteith all the way to our station and then put a pump station or something to get it moving. But right now, it's on a septic tank, and it's a horrible situation, because you got,
On Holly Springs there?
Yep.
yeah.
That one is?
You got 7 guys that work there 7 days a week, 24 hours a
Oh, my
day. That
goodness.
septic tank cannot handle that, I can promise you.
Crazy,
So we
right in the
do
middle of
need
all
to
those
do
subdivisions.
that out of our sewer
Yeah.
money.
Oh, yeah.
Not the way y'all eat, at least, that's out of control.
Yeah, it's horrible, because they eat too. I mean, firemen eat, so.
So what'd you say, that was about 40 or so?
Yeah, we bid it out 5 or 6 years ago, and I think it was $40,000.
Right. Yeah, we can, yeah.
And then you had 5,000 down there, one less furniture and fixtures, your 5,000.
Yeah, so the furniture and fixtures, what I actually budgeted, which I may use it for this or not, it's an insurance policy. I got 3 refrigerators, 3 microwaves, and a washer and dryer station 3. I know we gotta buy a washer and dryer station 3, the one we got now is broke, and they gotta have one. The 3 refrigerators, we hadn't had to replace one, we have 9 of them. We hadn't had to replace one, but at our station 2, at 2000, I mean, it was built in 2004, 2 of those are still the original refrigerators. All 3 of them in 2004, as built Station 3, are all the original refrigerators. And we've been fighting them, keeping them running, but we're gonna have to buy refrigerators. We just may not have to buy 3. We may get away with 1. But we're gonna end up having to buy somewhere. But I just needed something in there so that if our refrigerator goes out, we can go buy a refrigerator.
We're about at the end of yours. Anybody have any other questions for the chief while we got him?
I want to clear one thing up on your new hires. You got them on your proposed sheet, but they're not in the budget.
Right.
But you need, in reality, you need 5 people.
Yes.
So for your department, really, the big push for you is to hire 5 new people, to increase your payroll, to get your new ambulance, backup ambulance, to get your air packs, and then the other things that you just mentioned that are on your wish list. But those are the key things for your department.
Yes. Now, I will tell you, on 2 of those positions, the one that's a deputy fire marshal, like I said, once we implement a fee schedule, if y'all agree to it, I've got one made where we can go over it and explain how it works. That will probably fund that position, but I can't say it will for sure, and I definitely won't say it will 100%. But it will generate a revenue. On the training officer position, and keep in mind, both of these positions are very strong for the rating bureau. But on the training officer position, with COVID right now, they've shut our fire academy down. If you're not vaccinated, you can't go. We've got a lot of young firemen that they're not gonna be vaccinated. I mean, it's just not gonna happen. So, or they're not gonna do it right now. So they have to either wait for the fire academy to open back up, which the fire academy's struggling because they're gonna go out of business if they can't have firemen come to the academy. They've already shut down every class they had scheduled, and we had a lot of people scheduled for class.
So if the fire academy tell them that they gotta be vaccinated to come, what they gonna do, forfeit their job?
Well, right now, they have changed the rules to where you don't have to be a certified. Normally, when I hire a fireman, I have 1 year to get them certified through minimum standards. When the academy locked down and said you have to be vaccinated or we can't train you, they removed that stipulation. So basically, I could be sitting here with an uncertified fireman for 3 years. It's unlimited until they change the rules.
We had 5 at the academy. 2 of them got sent home, which went ahead and took their first set of shots. They're going back next month. As far as everybody's already certified, we can't force them. They're pretty much said, I'm fine where I'm at.
The police academy is the same way, you had to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
Well, I know that, my point is though, that we as the employer, when a person can't fulfill their training because of their refusal to do something, then we still keep them hired on as employees?
Unless y'all require them to be vaccinated.
No, I'm not requiring the
Well, I mean, if that's what you're saying.
The job required that they be certified.
But it didn't the day we hired them.
I'm not comfortable.
Our
requiring
job
them to be
doesn't require them to be vaccinated at all. Extra training requires them right now.
When we hired them, they were hired that they had to be certified in a certain period of time.
Right,
That was a requirement of the employment.
correct.
I don't care what you, that was a requirement of the employee. Correct? I know it's a legal question, but that was a requirement of the employer,
Right.
that they get certified in a certain other time.
Yeah, it's required they met the minimum standards. What he's saying is minimum standards.
Change the rules.
Change theirs from here to pretty much doing whatever they want to do.
We're required, when we hire these people, to abide by the minimum standards of the state of Mississippi's rules. And when they change the rules at the academy, they also change the requirements.
But my point is
So-
that this board need to be thinking about, because they ain't gonna keep that indefinite.
Yeah,
It's gonna change, so
yeah.
the board gonna
Well,
need to
I
be
will say
thinking
the
about-
ones that were
and then
in the
I'm serious,
academy-
It's gonna have to be,
I think that's a
what
question
way
for
we
our
think about it
city
or
attorney.
not.
I wrote that question down.
I will
What
say
we-
the ones that were in the
but-
academy,
It's something gonna come up on it.
when we told these guys, you either gonna have to sit here and wait, and that's holding up $7,000 raise for them. I mean, that's holding up money for them.
So they have incentive to get vaccinated
Right,
if they want.
so they they went and got vaccinated because they know they're young, they know they wanna be firemen, and they don't want one thing like this to stop them from being a fireman. Our problem is that the people that are there and they're certified, and we're trying to move this department forward and get people trained. It's gonna be hard to get our people trained, and it's gonna happen at a slower pace. For one, if they are vaccinated, the academy's not putting out as many classes because they can't do it. So a training officer, if we get the right training officer, he can come in, and a lot of these classes, I'm sending people spending $800 and $900 to the academy and paying their travel and paying their meals. This guy can teach a batch of them at one time. And if you get the right training officer, then you can send him to where he can get grants, teach him how to write grants if you don't hire one that already knows how to get grants. Most of these guys that are training instructors at other fire departments or the fire academy, these guys know how to get grants already. So just having a training officer alone may save us a tremendous amount of money, not today, but over the time of us getting these guys trained up and ready, it'll pay for
Well,
itself.
the county just did EMT school, didn't they?
Mhm.
Yeah. They did all that.
Yeah, we've actually got 4 people lined up to go to EMT school at the academy, and it's not costing us a thing, because we in Job Center, we were eating it up. We were trying to steal every bit of dollars they got. But the 4 that are there are the 4 that are not vaccinated. The ones that are vaccinated already have EMT. So we have nobody open. So I talked to Terry Wages, which is the head guy at the fire academy. And he called me and said, look, don't pull them out of class. I'm working on something else. We're going to get something figured out. Because he knows it's killing his revenue too. When you can't teach classes to the entire state of Mississippi, people are going to go somewhere else. When they start going somewhere else, he has no more academy.
Well, they're limited to 24. They got 24 dorm rooms. They're limited to 1 person per room, so each class they put on can have no more than 24 people.
And typically it's what,
They gotta be
60
back.
or 70?
Yeah,
Mhm.
easy.
Yeah, because they'll put 3 or 4 in a room normally. But this COVID thing has what's got everything going crazy, but that's why we looked at this, probably a good opportunity to jump in and grab a training officer that can come in, start doing some of this training in-house. It's still considered the same training. It still can be tested by the fire academy. They just don't have to come teach it.
What rank would you train officer be?
We will train everybody.
What rank would he, if we put that in the budget, what level would he be?
Oh, yeah, he would come in on a captain pay scale.
If you have, and I think somebody else asked this question there, so it'd be a good question to be asked again. With everything that you asked for in this budget, and you couldn't get everything that you asked for in this budget, what would you be your most pressing need?
Well, it depends on how much of my pressing needs we can get.
No.
Well, do you think the raises for your guys is the most important thing?
Well-
to listen to you talk, I think that's what you're
Well,
saying.
I can tell you, I'm not gonna lie to you, when I started working here, I made $17,000 a year.
Yes.
I'm happy with my pay. I'm not worried, but that, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere anyway. I've been here 26 years. But you talk to half of these guys, they're ready to have people. And it's the officers that, the higher they are, the closer they are. So they're not as much of a difference as everybody else. That's why I've got them tiered.
Right.
So the higher officers, which are the ones that are in charge of those lower guys' life, they want people. The lower guys say to stay, I need money. So you see my problem is the higher you go, the more those people want people. The lower you go, the more they want money. And it's absolutely understood.
Back to the question again. You got a fire truck,
Ambulance.
Ambulance.
Control inventory machine.
control inventory machine, Do you have one more?
Salaries.
Air packs.
Outback, that's a, you know, that's a life.
Yeah, I mean, that's something y'all aren't gonna, I mean, we gotta buy those, that's just, it is what it is, you know.
The board over the years never really rejected a whole lot to put in front of them. A whole lot of stuff wasn't asked for, as far as, like your air packs, your turnout gear, all that have a lifespan on it. If you only have so many years. If you ever get caught above the years and something happened, it's a liability to the city, so.
I wouldn't take that.
It's just a lot of stuff wasn't asked for over the years. That should be every couple of years, you might be trying to get a few of these, a few of them.
That's what I said. I took Outbacks off the table. I wouldn't even talk about them.
I think it's a good point to make too. I mean, the police department's asking for about 1.5 million, they're asking for 300,000.
But then you got the other departments that ain't actually.
That's just public safety.
That's
We haven't got the
just
animal
public
shelter yet.
That's just public service getting on, public service actually almost $2 million, right?
Yeah, 1.8 is what this thing says right here.
And then you got the,
1.8.
yeah. Then you got,
Street animal control.
animal control, you got the courts, you know, parks department. Most of the money, you know, is going to two departments.
That's the way it's always been.
Yeah, but
Well, I think
but
that,
my point is that though, sometimes, just cause something is always don't mean it have to stay.
it's true. What I was gonna say, just looking at the numbers and what I expected kind of going into this process is the only number that we were really given going into this is that we knew we were gonna receive around a 7.2% increase to property tax. Something around there, and then there was gonna be, you know, the sales tax budgeting and that sort of thing. So if I had been in a department head's shoes, I would have kept that number somewhat in mind as I was budgeting in some ways. To say, okay, well, if we did, you know, if our budget was $1 million, you know, 7% of that is $70,000, and tried to keep some kind of frame of reference on that, just to be a good steward of the taxpayer dollars. I'm not saying that none of our department heads are doing that. This specific budget is right in line around that figure. It's around 7%. 4.3 to 4.6, a $300,000 increase is around 7.2%. That may just be a coincidence. I don't know. But all I'm saying, I think that's a reasonable ask, completely. I know there's other there's other needs that are out there that you've touched on as well. You know, I know that I have been presented with a 5-year plan for the fire department as well. For the long-term needs, it's a very proactive plan that, you know, the city's gonna have to grow considerably to fund that across multiple sectors to make that happen. But you know, I think that it's. I understand the concerns. There's only so many dollars too, and that's a reality as well. There's only so many dollars to go around, so we have to be, you know, mindful of that, certainly.
You have any more questions?
Any more questions for the chief?
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to run, we've already done the street budget, which is next. I do want to tell everyone, we have found money in a separate bank account. That's new revenue. It's been accruing over the last 2 years, 400,000 of it this year. It is the Mississippi Infrastructure Modernization Plan of 2018, which is basically the lottery. And cities are getting a certain percentage of that to be used only for road and bridge improvements. And we have about $620,000 sitting there. I have not done anything budget-wise with it. I literally just found out about it yesterday.
Really?
So it's there. It's in a bank account. It's never been touched.
Yeah.
But it's literally in our bank, in a separate bank account. So there's some money we could use for overlays, any kind of street improvements, I think. I was told by Robbie Brown at the MML I need to talk to the state auditor's office, because they're the ones who kind of look to see if we're spending it correctly. So tomorrow I'll be calling the state auditor's office to make sure what things we could do with it. But I think we know it could be done with overlays. So y'all keep that in the back of your mind.
So we got it, it came in 18?
It started coming in 19, I believe.
In 19?
But there's over 600,000 there. We've gotten 400,000 this year.
And it's tied to the lottery.
Yes, it's the 15% that cities get from the lottery.
That's great, because
It's
that
based on population, so.
250,000.
That's a nice gift.
And I asked Joe Frank if
And
they'd been
that's
sitting on it,
gonna
waiting to do
continue,
something special
right?
with it, and he said he didn't know about it either, so.
Every
It's
year?
gonna continue, like, we're
Yeah,
gonna.
we'll get it
keep
every
getting
year.
that money?
Yeah, we're gonna get it every year. And it'll be a different amount. It's based on how much
Sure.
lottery proceeds they get, and it's based on
They
our
do cap that,
population.
though.
Is it sitting in an interest-bearing account at a bank?
Yes.
They do cap that number, though. The total number of lottery collection, right? I want to say it's 120, or
I'll read the bill
million or
again. I
something
read
like
the
that.
bill quickly the other day.
At a certain threshold, it starts going to education.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
there should be some kind of, if we
Yeah,
could
you're
think,
right.
if they have a year where they cap it, then we would know at that
That would
point,
be the most we
in
could get.
theory, that would be the
State's on a
most we're
different
gonna get.
fiscal year, so they're on the June.
That's
bill,
true.
so-
So adjusting
point.
the street overlay to where we said we probably needed a 1.2 million?
Well, actually, in this budget in front of you, I put the 1.2 million in there.
Right, that's
Y'all
what I
had
was-
asked me to do that, and I put it there, but that didn't touch in that 600,000.
Oh, okay.
So we could pull that number back down to help balance this budget and use some of the 600,000. Just keep that in your mind.
But also at the same time, don't forget that we need to start creating a reserve account.
We certainly do.
Yes.
Completely
We
agree with
just,
that.
look at what
Yep.
just happened. That everybody tell you need 6 months in your reserve account, 6 months of your budget. You need in a reserve account. So that's like you talking about planning for the future. We need to have a plan where that we, in 5 or 6 years, that we can have that 6 months
Right.
in contingency of our budget.
And it could be that we pull this 1.2 million down to 900,000 and shift 300,000 to the contingency to get that rainy day fund
Instead
up.
of just trying to
Use the
spend it
300
this year,
from that
you
other
know.
fund.
Yeah, since
need
that
to-
has to be allotted for specific things.
That's right.
Yeah,
I think we need to invest in our roads, so I don't want to see
Absolutely.
that number go down too far.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
for
saying if
sure.
we took it down, we would replace it with some of the money from that other
What
fund.
he's always saying, the money that's earmarked for roads, it can go in roads, but a lot of the money that's been put in roads come out the general fund. And that general fund money can go in the contingent, whereas
That's
the
right.
overlay money couldn't. You still got the same number.
Yeah,
All right.
Is that right?
yes.
All right, so
That's right, you the
I just wanted y'all to know about that, since I just found out about it. All right, we are going to go to animal control. And you've got an animal control budget there in front of you, and before she starts speaking, I'm looking for my animal control. Did I not put that there either? Julie, can you get us an animal control sheet? So, on animal control, what I did do, and Susan doesn't know it, she works for $31,000 a year, 7 days a week, on call all the time. I'm proposing $40,000 for her, which is still not nearly enough. And then some small increases for her employees. But that's, she'll get y'all the sheet, but I want y'all to know that. So the numbers in here reflect that. So you can see the total increase in animal control would be 18,700. And she has asked that when we get an animal shelter, we're gonna need 2 people there all the time. Those 2 people were not in this budget. The 2 new people were not, because let's just say we approve an animal shelter tonight, we bid it, we start building, we're not gonna have it open maybe by the end of this budget year. So I didn't plan for people to staff it yet, if that makes sense.
Did you ever get the final plans on our animal shelter?
I looked at plans with Doug and Doug Thornton,
Yes.
and he showed me the latest plans he had done, and he showed me the ones that have been bid on. He did say the previous mayor had asked him to cut it down to a really low number, and he just had not done that yet. And when I talked to him about it, he said he just didn't think he could get anything adequate at that low number. So the number I'm putting in the budget for the animal shelter is about what it bid out at the last time, is 900,000. 235,000 of it we have sitting in the bond fund as cash. We would be borrowing the other 665, and that's just a guess on what that would cost to build the one that was bid before. So that's what the number I put in there was that.
So the total cost for the animal shelter is 9 what?
I put 900,000 in. I don't think we know what it is till we bid it again, quite frankly.
The last low bid that we rejected, based on Doug's recommendation, was
I want to say 798,000, right around 800,000.
It was.
Okay. And for some reason, when I was talking to Doug, I may be totally wrong, but I think he was thinking that increases and stuff might have driven it up to around that number, so.
Yeah, maybe I misunderstood. I thought Doug was putting together kind of a bare bone design for us to take out some of the things that we really didn't have to have.
He had been asked to do that by the previous administration and just didn't get to it, so
Okay.
that did not happen.
So 900 could still be a high number.
It could be a high
Yeah.
number, sure. I just don't know. I
But
just,
the thing about it, I mean, we done kicked this can so long, man, we ain't doing nothing but driving up the price. We need to build it because
we do.
we talking about the ratings and we talking about the fire department and everything else. We got to give him up there at fire station too.
What'd you just say?
We got to get away from at fire station too. Animal shelter.
We gotta move it.
We got to move it. And the longer we stay there, the more chances are you talking about what it takes to move the ratings and everything that's becoming a negative. And we put that money in.
Yeah, actually, we had another idea for building, the location for building the animal shelter. And that was when Bruce came out and with his wife to look, like several of the candidates running for alderman came out and toured the shelter, looked at our grounds. And Bruce had the idea to maybe save some money because I know there's still some political opposition for us building it down by Renaissance Park. And it's isolated. The only thing we're worried about is that it's isolated. And we've used the EMTs like a couple of times. I mean, and we've just used the firemen for help several times.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's a lot more dangerous. I mean, people think that we're just dog catchers and we feed animals all day. But, I mean, we've had severe injuries. I mean, we've had, a girl got bitten.
You ain't got to argue that case. We don't agree with that. I mean, that we passed that stage argument. I'm saying that we done invested money and time down there in that location. We need to go in and build it. We started looking for another site and stuff. We ain't doing nothing but kicking the ball down the road.
Yeah, I mean, we've approved the site, spent money on getting the site ready. That's why I thought Doug was coming back with.
And now we're talking about getting another site
we're
that's
ready to go. We're just
more
waiting on
money
a
spent.
design.
You know,
Well,
What
actually,
is the
What's your
other
idea?
location you're thinking of?
our idea was to build behind the fire station back further.
no,
Back
that's
further.
what the
Back
thing
further.
about, that's the whole key. We got to get away from the fire station. That's the whole problem.
we don't own that land.
That's what I'm saying. We don't own the land. We got to get away from there.
Well, you know what, at this point, I don't care where you put it.
So that's what I'm saying.
Let's just put it somewhere.
We need to build a building now. We're talking about trying to change location.
Alderman Harris, hey Doc, I need to, talking about Doug, when I went and met with Doug, I went and met with him by myself. Sorry, Susan.
Oh.
But when I looked at him, I said, I want you to talk to me without the influence of the animal shelter people in your ear. And tell me, is what you drew over the top? And he said he didn't think it was. He thinks it's pretty close to bare bones the way it is.
So he's the one that recommended to the board that we reject it. We rejected it based on his recommendation.
So maybe I need to grab a couple of board members and we go see Doug again and get clear on it, and so we can get a drawing of whatever it is and get it bid out.
Okay, well, we're not gonna make that decision tonight. I didn't mean to get us sidetracked on it.
Well, yeah, we're gonna have to
We've got the
do
money in the
something, yeah.
budget, we've approved the site, we spent about $85,000 preparing
$84,000,
the
yes, sir.
site at Renaissance Park. All that's said and done and
I'm ready to see it
approved.
built.
And all we gotta do is come up with a building design that
I'm
we can
tired of
live
hearing
with
about it.
and
I'm
move
ready to
on.
see it
That's
built
what Andrew's
myself.
saying.
I think most people are
Let's
saying
move
that,
on.
Doc.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if it had been built a couple years ago, we wouldn't have had all this increase in price.
Well,
Then we wouldn't be dickering over this now.
I agree.
And just so y'all, and when you'll see in this budget, there's a little line item down there for a payment. I put in a 6-month payment but I don't even think we'd be paying, we probably wouldn't even start making payments for a year. But I put in a half a year's payments in there. On a $665,000 loan. So hopefully everything can be cheaper than that and all that, but that's what I put in there.
With a loan like that, are we locked in on spending it only on the animal shelter?
You know, I was just planning on going to a bank and getting a 10-year loan, if they would loan us the money. I don't know of any special ways to get animal shelter financing.
Right.
So I think we would just have to go to a bank and get a loan. We were figuring at 3% over 10 years is what we figured. That's where the AM schedule was for that.
But those funds, if they're secured, they would be earmarked for only animal shelter. They couldn't be used for anything else.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think that's what this board would want to do and the public would want to see done.
You got that right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We would
Right.
borrow them and just set them totally aside and account for every
Right.
penny.
Okay.
I'm good at keeping spreadsheets.
Right.
I can't design them, but
I
I
just
keep
wanted
them.
to, I just wanted to be clear. It's not just money that's in the budget somewhere and
Right.
it can be moved somewhere else or whatever else. Okay.
That's one thing I
It's
know about
locked
this
in.
board is we're all about transparency at the table, so.
Right.
We kept saving a lot of money with volunteers running the shelter.
How much money do we have currently for the animal shelter? Do we have any money?
In the bond fund, which is the 300 fund,
Yes.
things have gotten a little commingled. The way that fund was supposed to work is we borrowed $5 million in a bond issue. That $5 million went in there and we were supposed to spend it all and it'd be done. Somehow or another, over the last couple of years, one of the line items in that bond fund was the McInville Road realignment. And the board had authorized, I don't even remember the number, 1 or 2 million of that 5 million to go to that. Well, because it said McInville Road, they've been budgeting on that line item and doing the whole McInville Road project out of the bond fund. But according to what we can figure out, there's still $235,000 supposed to be there from the original money allocated for the shelter from that 5 million.
To answer the question, Alderman Woodard, when we had that bond issue, we set aside $275,000 towards the building, not to build the building, but towards building of the building. And somewhere along the line, people said, y'all gonna build a building for $275,000. That never was the case.
That's right.
The case was $275,000 was set aside out of that bond money
Towards it.
to go towards the animal shelter, and that.
So we spent the 40,000, is that what I guess we
We
used
spent
to?
40,000, yeah. So there's 235 left, and so that's where I'm saying in the 300 fund, we'll take 235 right off the bat and then borrow whatever else we need to borrow.
So you're borrowing another 665,000 to get to your 9,000?
If it's 900, yes, sir.
Whatever we think that's gonna cost. And I guess that's, the shelter we're looking at's around that.
But we're
I
still
don't think
not
we really
locked in
know. That's just my best guess.
At a price, because what you
We
just
gotta
said, we're not
bid it
locked
out.
in at a price.
We got to bid it back out again.
Right.
Yeah.
I would recommend forming some type of committee and getting that thing done. So we'll get
I
that
think
behind us.
everybody's on board with that. If we could grab a couple of the board members and me, and we
Yeah.
just go meet with Doug and
Get that done.
and then we.
You know what they said, Chad, at church?
What's that?
If you want to kill a project, establish your committee.
Committee, that's right.
Just a
I rest
small
my case.
committee, not a big
You
one,
heard
just
that,
a
didn't
small one.
I've heard that.
How about a small one?
I don't want nothing to do with it.
Bruce just volunteered to be on it, so anybody else
I
want
thought it was kind of
I
fun,
will
right?
help with that.
to? Okay,
I'm fine with it.
Thank you.
I thought it was kind of neat.
you're my third person. All right, we'll take the 3 of y'all and we'll set an appointment with Doug as quickly as possible.
Maybe
Sounds
get
good.
something
That's
to bid
awesome.
out the first of October and get that thing done. So.
Okay.
We've come a long way though since they brought Susan in. I mean, it used to be, you know, before, and Chip, you may remember back when I was on payroll with the shelter, there were 4 of us, 1 full-time, 3 part-time. And there was a part-timer that came in, I think at 5 to 10 at night, 10:30, and then Deidre and I split it, and Jacob was full-time. So I left on other reasons, nothing the city has done, but anyway, I stuck it out with the shelter, and nothing great came upon it until Susan came along. And she has literally worked her tattooed off, sun up, sundown, sorry. But we go
Well-
out on calls, me and her, I climb a fence, we'll do anything I want to say, I'm sorry, but.
Yeah, we do.
I have
Pre-
2
and
rescues
pretty much
myself.
right now, I mean, we're pretty much run by volunteers,
We are.
which is, not optimal for a municipality. I mean, we actually calculated it. I've got an admin person who helps me with a bunch of this. And this year, we've saved the city $58,000 just by having volunteers work. So, and right now, we've got I do everything. I go catch dogs in the middle of the night. I do invoices, I market, I do transports, everything I can think of. My animal control officer just left, so now I'm doing her job. She went to South Haven for more money and less hours. She gets the weekends off now, whereas before, she never really had a day off. And I have 2 part-time kennel techs. And so it's there's not even enough space to really, there aren't enough people to cover 1 week right now with the staff we've got. So the only way we're able to just basically function is by volunteers. And we're always begging for volunteers. We've got about 250 in a private Facebook group that we've got right now. But that's the only way we have 42 animals in our system right now. We have 9 dog kennels, 9 cat kennels. So that means all the rest of these animals are spread out in everybody's homes. I've got 2 of them in my home. One of our cat people has like 3 litters of kittens and with a nursing mama cat. I mean, we've got people volunteering to help with the feral cats. I mean, those are just average people. There's a guy in Edgewater who, I mean, he's probably TNR'd, I don't know, probably 20 cats this year, just because he wants to do it and he hates to see them reproduce continually. So, I mean, right now, like, nobody can get sick, nobody can go on vacation, nobody can have 2 days off in a row. So we are just so short-staffed, we're exhausted.
And we do have an open position, one of the ladies just left.
Is that your animal control? That's open position?
Yeah.
That's the animal, yeah.
So the budget is pretty straightforward. I told y'all I proposed upping her salary. You can see the rate on the vacant position was just going up to 3%. These others that were $10.20, I proposed bringing those up to $12 an hour. It may make it a little more attractive for those to get, and those people are working really hard and they deserve the money, obviously. So that was the difference of $18,000 in the whole payroll for that.
Yeah, and pretty much everybody, like my part-time people who make $10 an hour, they're only allowed to work 20 hours, but that's all they put on their time because that's all they're allowed to do. They probably work 40 hours apiece, at least.
They work 40 and you work 70.
And so y'all can look through this budget. It's pretty bare bones like it has been. It's actually a little smaller in the operating budget. Susan had asked for another vehicle, and I talked to the chief, the police chief. He is gonna have a SUV that's not suited to be in high-speed chases anymore, but would probably do great for y'all, that he'll shove down to y'all instead of selling it.
Oh, that'd be great, yeah.
So that should help there.
Yeah, we don't need to be going anywhere fast.
Right.
We used to have a line item where we tracked and kept up with donations to our animal shelter.
We do, and it's still in the revenue page, but I just put 0 because we don't know what it's gonna be.
I'm looking right over it then.
It is in there. There's animal shelter donations in there somewhere, Doc.
Well, it's not under the animal control section.
What has that been running? Do we know what kind of donations we've been getting?
I can look, as soon as I find the line item, I can find it
It's
on there.
301
All right. On the front page.
and 302.
Because that's what, I think you told me that's what you buy a lot of the food with and stuff.
Actually, we have,
There it is.
we
Animal
have private donors.
Oh,
who give us
301.
food.
Yeah,
We've only gotten $125 for animal control donations this year that came into the city. I think most people are donating food and stuff. Now, the animal shelter donations, which may be what you're asking about.
I'm talking about
different account.
That's $4,700 this year. A lot of that came from memorials to Alderman Bryant when he passed away.
Yeah.
You talking about 2,000 now?
That line item is number 302 on the front page, on the second page, I'm sorry. Animal shelter building donations. So we didn't budget anything for that. If we get them, we get them, but, you know, we just don't know. Yes, sir.
Wasn't there some discussion or conversation about a private donor donating some money for the cat part of the,
So when I looked
Animal
at,
shelter
when
or
I looked
something?
at the plans with Doug Thornton, I do remember this, they had a cat patio on there or something, and something of that nature for the cats specifically, and he said that he recommended that we bid that as an alternate, so we would know exactly what that costs, let's just say it's 50,000 extra. That way something like that could be funded by a donor who wanted to give 50,000 and put their name on it and say that they paid for
or
the cat.
collectively, collectively.
A collective, yeah, so, and I thought that was a good idea.
As far as like donations and stuff like that, you have, some folks are donating to the Hernando Animal Alliance.
Yeah, that's a.
So that's separate outside of us.
Yeah, that's a private nonprofit 501c3. And that is just, like, that was started by private individuals in Hernando. And that money is used, like, there's about, I'd say, $50,000 in that fund, which is dedicated for the building of the animal shelter.
Okay, so that could go with, okay.
Oh, that could, there's your catio, right there.
And there's also, some of the really big vet bills are paid for through these private associations.
Yeah, yeah, in fact.
I knew that some,
yeah.
you know, like when you had the pet, you know, the girl that comes into the DeSoto Arts Council and
Right.
she was donating, drawing the pets and things like that. And that was going to the Hernando Animal Alliance.
Actually, that went straight to.
That did go to the
to
city fund? Okay.
Yeah.
I know there's just been different things, and I was just
Yeah.
wondering what that money was used
Yeah.
for and
Yeah.
if it was a benefit.
Yeah, pretty much our donations, they come through the private 501c3 where people can choose to either have their donations go to the building fund or they can have it go to whatever we need, which
Right.
is pretty much veterinary care. So far this year, the Alliance has donated about $10,000 to the city in vet bills. And let's see, the other way, like we get lots of individual just donations for food. I mean, we haven't spent one penny for food this whole year.
That's good.
Yeah, so, I mean, God, I don't even know what that would
Everything
be.
is mostly, I mean, our little refrigerator we have, donated.
Yeah, pretty much, I mean, like we had Magnolia Lighting donated a big container because we don't have any room to keep anything. I mean, we don't have a place to keep our crates. We've just about filled up the Gale Center.
Well, the Gale Center's got a whole bunch of.
We've got kennels, yeah.
Kennels that are stainless steel that are nice, that we were given, that we will put in the new animal shelter when it's built.
Yeah, Spain Memphis donated, I don't know, probably at least, if they were brand new, $25,000 worth of kennels to us.
Oh, wow.
So those are still back in the Gale Center. PetSmart donated some kennels to us. They're gonna need a little bit of repair, but we never say no to any kind of donation. And then we just have like large donors, like FedEx will just like buy supplies. Like we give people a list. It's like, this is what we need. I mean, that's how we've gotten all of our play yards donated. We've gotten like every large vet bill. It's been funded by donations. So we're really, like, a lot of our energy goes towards saving the city money and getting donations.
So you should see 4 women trying to go down Bidwell Road with dog play yards.
Oh, yeah.
Our 83-year-old takes them down, 83-year-old woman takes them down and we haul them on her trailer. And just hope to God they don't fall trying to get there.
But yeah, we get like up until, like the fire department's been helping us with mowing, thank goodness. But we get like a lot of, like our yard spraying for bugs, that's donated by Mosquito Joe of Arkansas.
Wow.
Yeah, so, we get like, I mean, we just have, we have volunteers who come in and trim the trees or mow the play yards because you can't get the door is like this big, so you can't get a big mower in there.
So in this budget, basically, we're asking for an extra 18,700 in payroll. Everything else is about the same. The large line item in here is other services and charges for 30 grand. That's just vet bills almost totally. And we're right now at 26,000 on those in this current year. And then we've talked about the animal shelter, so that's really kind of sums up this budget.
Yep.
Where is this?
Y'all are all ready to move forward.
So.
Y'all have enough discussion on this
The way
one?
this is working.
Okay. Any other questions for Susan while we've got her captive? Okay, thank you, Susan. And I'm gonna run on down through the last couple of lines there. If you will look, we're not doing the tax anticipation debt, the 454, 840, or 845 and 910. So we're not doing the tax anticipation loan. And so our contingency, as it stands, without any changes, would be 268,000. If we did something like we talked about, pulling 300,000 out of the overlays and then using 300 from that other fund we found, that would raise this number up 300,000 for our rainy day fund. So y'all just want to think on that, and we can talk more about it when we come to the budget meetings September 7th, next Tuesday.
I have one question, just real quick. I know everybody's ready to go. How much money are we borrowing in this budget?
In this budget, it's all the loan proceeds. We had the 960,000, which was 295 for police cars, 665 for the animal shelter, and then we realized that we were making payments on 350 for the Sally Port. So 960 plus 350 is 1310.
Yeah, so we're borrowing 1310.
Yeah, that's what we would be borrowing.
For capital, all capital improvements.
Yeah, that's the,
right?
yeah, that's all the money we would be borrowing new.
Possibly.
Right. And you've all asked for it, and I've asked for it too. Once we're caught up and catch our breath, the bookkeeper is going to put us together a spreadsheet of all our debt, so we know what it was for when it started, how much principal was, and how much we still owe on it, so we can all see what the debt is. Because we all need to know that number for certain.
The only question I have is, again, everybody's ready to go, is if we potentially, I've just sort of heard this through the grapevine about a PERS increase to 19%. I've heard that kind of like poked around at, and that may happen sometime during the year. Is that just something that we can absorb?
I got a message from somewhere the other day, and I'm gonna have to remember where, but it said that the.
I text you that
Yeah.
they froze that amount for the next, until, I guess, their fiscal year 23.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we're good on that
That was
for
Chad that said
our,
that, yeah.
our next year.
So we're good on that front, so that's great.
Because that would hit us pretty hard. We pay a lot into PERS.
Correct. I mean, that would be
Right.
rough. So I think that one part of it, and then the other thing that I think that we've mentioned at least before, and I don't know how difficult this would be, but looking at, are we just gonna try to do a across the board pay increase of a certain percentage, or is it just gonna be all based on the proposals that we've seen? Are these basically getting locked in here, so?
Nothing's locked in.
Right.
So what we've done so far is heard from everybody, basically. All the department heads, y'all heard it all. It's all in here, the way it was proposed, mostly. There's a couple of small adjustments I have to make that y'all know about. But that's what's in here. And that's what we'll really be hashing out. So y'all got a week before the board meeting when we'll really be talking about it. And you may say, we want to add something to this line item or cut something from this one, and that's when we'll actually be finalizing to vote on the budget. And I have a feeling y'all have some opinions that you change your mind on the next week and want to talk about and want to change.
I think every, as Mr. Miller, Alderman Miller addressed, that you're maybe gonna look at the department heads.
That's right, and I'll
and
try
reevaluate.
to have that.
I think everybody except for the fire chief asked for a pay raise.
Right.
So I think that's something that if you go look
I'll
at.
get that to y'all as soon as I can.
And some of them.
And I think we're
pretty
gonna
good
try to
size
look at these cities that the chief had up there. He had some good cities that were similar in size, similar in budgets. You know, and we'll hit some of those and grab those numbers as quick as we can for the department heads. And then based on those numbers, I'll recommend.
So basically, I'm finna pass the football now. Because in the budget process, the executive branch present the legislative branch with a balanced budget.
That's right.
To accept or reject. Now, that's gonna happen on Tuesday night. Everybody quiet, I mean.
Well, I think that question from Mayor Johnson.
Oh, was that a question?
I don't know if it's
Yeah.
a statement or a
Yeah, I thought it was a
question.
statement. Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
It's a little bit of both.
Well,
It's a
before
little
you
bit of
answer
both.
that, Mayor,
Sometimes he gets to preaching,
It's
you
a-
can't tell the difference.
I'd like to suggest, just my opinion, but we've had some department heads tell us that they need to add people,
Right,
but we didn't put them in our budget.
right.
What I'd like to see is those requests to be put into the budget so that when we start eliminating things, if we're to that point, that those personnel are in the budget.
Okay.
I'd rather take them out than look at the budget and add them back in. I mean, if you need 5 people, let's put them in there.
And the
That needs to
training
be
guy.
in the budget.
And the training person.
They need a training.
I just, because he's sitting there.
Yeah.
But there was, I just would like to see them in there.
I like
Y'all
to
may
see
disagree.
numbers of what it all equals in dollars.
That's why I want
That's
them
what
in
we
there.
have to, yeah.
Still
Yeah.
back
That
to
way
my-
we'll
back to my
know how to
statement
back
again.
So our
down
next
to.
step
I agree.
is we come in on Tuesday and it's just so you're saying it's just a yes or no? We're not gonna make any,
Oh, y'all can change it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all absolutely have the total.
Well, I mean,
Power
right
to
now,
change it, yeah.
technically, it's a balanced budget, just we're borrowing quite a bit of money, right?
Yeah. And it's leaving, $500,000 or $600,000 in a rainy day fund,
Right.
in the general fund.
But you can plug in the, I guess, whatever, $600,000 from the lotto and move that money around and maybe get that debt number down a little bit, maybe.
Right. Now, if we add 5 in the fire department, it's gonna be a big number. It's gonna get our rainy day fund
It's gonna be a
down.
big number anyway.
That's true. But yeah, if y'all wanna look at that, I'll stick it in there.
I just wanna look at worst case, that's all I'm saying. If y'all
Five's a
don't
magic
agree,
number.
say
Want
so.
5 police officers, what about
Well,
firefighters? Take it easy.
I would say, back to the budget process again, that the chief and the assistant chief will come in and sit down and talk with the mayor
Yep. And we've done that.
prior to Tuesday, and look at those numbers and those dollars. They might not want them in there, dog.
We'll talk to them again.
May not.
They
Marshall
might
and I'll
want, they
meet
might
for
want to
sure.
pull something else out before it comes out.
You think so?
I don't know, but you can only balance the budget. You only got a piece of pie.
Just me personally, I'd like to see that overlay fund as high as we could possibly get it.
I think it's more than just you. I think it's the majority of the board for sure. Because this
Very
last
far
winter hit us
behind.
hard.
Very far
Hit our
behind.
road conditions hard.
What does that end of the table laughing at this end? I'm sorry, man.
oh no.
That end of the table's laughing at this end of the table about something.
They laugh.
It's terribly distracting, man.
They laugh at my math. That's okay. Don't worry
It's
about it.
them, it's not us.
Don't throw me in there.
Oh, are y'all ready to adjourn?
No.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
oh.
Yes.
What?
Somebody's gonna have to cook
Now I
breakfast
know
if we
why
stay
y'all
much
laughing
longer.
at
We're delirious.
Alderman
That's what
Miller.
we're
This is
laughing
real
at.
positive. This is positive, no doubt.
It's delirious. It's, yeah, no dinner,
Me
delirious.
and Alderman Wilker has been selected to serve on the board of directors for the MML, which is it's a plum. It's not just, it's an honor to be selected to do that. And what we asking of this board, if anything that y'all think that we need the MML to work on to help us with, let us know if additional training that you would like to see done that the MML put on, if you'd like to see more workshops done, anything like that, we can do that because we the next level up under the executive committee for the MML, which is, we have our pulse on with the president, we can recommend and get a lot of things added to what's going on with the MML. But we need y'all input to kind of, feed us some things that y'all thinking about, things like that, okay?
It is a big deal.
Yeah, so we need, y'all supporting something, give us something to take down.
Okay. We're not gonna recess this one. We're gonna adjourn this one. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. We are adjourned.